three wide. We look up to the flag stand. It's going to be your Morecast white flag. It's one more lap to go as Danny Cochran, Vincent Sora, and Jesse Thodak are your top three into turn one.
Who's gonna make it back here to take the checker flag? It's gonna be anybody's game. It was a dead heat almost across the line last time. It was only 0.02 of a second separating our top three. Let's see what it is this last time as they go down the back straight for the final time here tonight.
Vincent Sora going to be having help, currently leading the charge in the middle groove. Danny Cochran going to be on the inside. Another big surge on the middle groove, but here comes Jesse Thornock. Shelly's going to bump Cody Reed to the outside wall. Ryan Kelly's got to get to linked up with the 14. Bad bump for the 14. Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, they look good. Who's going to drive down to the apron? Vincent Sora blocks once, he blocks twice. They're still wiggling back and forth, but it's Vincent Sora winning the Daytona 250 here tonight as it's calamity. It's carnage. It's the big one across the line. Versal top 8, they're on the old tires. Everyone else 4 tires except for Chris Stitz. He took 2. Jones Paint and Designs 140 is back underway. A lot of wheel spin further on back, but here we go. Oh no, it's going to be seen. Noah Steele, that's Travis. It's going to be Dowling trying to hold steady as they're faltering backwards. Up front, great launch for also going to be Larry Ely and Cody Reed, but your trouble is Danny Cochran's the one that blitzed on through. The 0-2 is on the charge and he's the first one with fresh tires.
And he's going to quickly catch up to Larry Yingling. What's he going to do? He's going to split the middle here, but Yingling's going to slide up the track. He's going to have the lift.
He's blocking him. Oh, they're forcing the outside. Down to the inside. Cochran's wrecking right in front of Kelly. Oh no. Jared Tolbert breaks through. The big one. Everyone's piling in. Oh, the madness. Oh no. And everyone's in it. The only ones that made it through was our top 4. Everyone else got a clip of this one. With 3 to go, this is it. Crown a champion. Our first attempt at overtime. Who's taking it here at the end? If we get a yellow on lap 1, we head to overtime attempt number 2. But let's see if we can keep it clean and green. Already going to be seeing drivers going to be side by side, 3 wide deeper in the field. Up front's going to be seeing Jared Talmadge, Vincent Sora, and Talmadge is getting pushed by Thomas Green. Green is forcing the 27 to the lead position. Here we go, Zach, out of 2.
That was huge for Talmadge because Vincent Sora got the restart of his life, stayed side by side, but the 3's push is what propelled him to the lead. But now the 3 looking to the inside. He wants that 3rd victory, and we're going to see some fireworks here, guys.
Christopher Norris going to be back in 9th place, but up front, it's going to be Jared Talmadge looking up to the flag stand. It's your one more lap to go from Morecast, and it's all spreading up to the outside. Yingling's out of this. It's Vincent Sora's championship to grab, but Christopher Norris is back in 7th place. Off the exit of turn number 2, Jared Talmadge. Do you have everything, or will Christopher Norris find some type of wicked speed? Right now, it looks like the 38 is nowhere to be found. Jared Talmadge fought, clawed, and will win here at Vegas. The wrecking behind, but Vincent Sora, take your championship. You're back hoisting the crown. The 15 is your Trinity Racing League Season 1 champion. Before we get to the racing action of the Trinity Racing League Season 3, let's say thank you to some of the amazing sponsors. First and foremost, the title sponsor of Larry Arts Production. We also want to say thank you to SimSam, Blazing Fast TV, Premier Racing Setups, Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios, and finally, Team Watson Racing Setups. Thank you so much for all the sponsors. Now let's get to the racing action. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. We are back for Trinity Racing League action. Presented by Larry Arts Productions. Season 3 is upon us. I know we missed out on all the fun for Season 2, but we're happy to have the partnership of the Trinity Racing League and Freaky Fast Broadcasting back hand-to-hand on Monday nights. And this season, we're excited for all the highs, all the lows, the returning drivers, and those that are coming back to keep their thrones. It's exciting racing action that we have here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As you can see, practice slash warm-up is coming to a close. It's about to be race time, and we're ready to give you all the action here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me this evening, as always on Monday nights, is Zach Hall. Running production in the background is Robert Moyer Jr. And Zach, we're back. It is so good to be back home with the Trinity Racing League.
Miles all around here for sure. Yeah, man, this is a great time to be back. Daytona to kick it all off under the daytime, and these Xfinity cars. I mean, after the season of being gone, it's only going to be ramped up that much even more, as we're going to have a gigantic 42 car field here. It looks like tonight.
They had some LCQ last chance qualifier action going on before the main session was created, because we've already got qualifying officially ending. Last week, drivers had the duels qualifying for the front row, and it all made this pack to where we are today. 42 drivers attempting to see how can you start the season on the right foot, as we're ready for the Hot Lap Designs 250 here this evening as the Trinity Racing League Season 3 Race 1 is starting to get gridded up. I want to say thank you to all the amazing sponsors that are tackling and joining up for this season. We got Larry Art Production be the title sponsor, our pole sitter and grid sponsor being Blazing Fast TV, the halfway bonus sponsor being SimSam. Also want to say thank you to our caution sponsor being Premier Racing Setups. Also, thank you to Replays, and we will have an in-season tournament later on in the season for the Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios. And of course, want to say thank you to Team Watson Racing Setups for being our white flag sponsor. But let's take a look at your Blazing Fast TV starting grid. 42 drivers are going to be attempting to start the season off up front and taking that Blazing Fast TV pole award. Jackson Anderson putting down the fastest lap last week during qualifying, and he was outside. Going to be Joshua Kanata. The rest of the rows, they were placed by the duels. All the odd numbers and all the even numbers had their own separate duels to set up what lanes they were in. And in third, we find Ollie Fonseca and Ryan Kelly, the winner of the duels. Behind them, we'll be finding Larry Yingling in fifth. Sixth is Jarrett Talmadge, with Cody Reed in seventh. Eighth is Cedric Hunter. Ninth will be Chris Stitz. And finishing out our top 10, it's the 39 of Zachary Wake.
Starting 11th is the 3 of Thomas Green. In 12th, it'll be the 19 of Joshua Sawyer. In 13th, we're going to have the 74 of Nick Crawford, with Joshua Stovall in the 77 this season, starting in 14th. In 15th, it's going to be Christopher Norris. Samuel Garcia going to start in the 16th position. The 45 of Alex Fuller going to start in 17, with Michael Miller starting in 18th. 19th is going to be Vincent Sora in the 15 machine, and rounding out our top 20 is the 88 of Stephen Clapp.
And in 21st, we find the 29 of Justin Sipes. And in 22nd, the 00 of Ethan Smith. Some newcomers that are making their debut races here for the Trinity Racing League. It's the 09 of Presley Sora. And 24th, it's the 1 of Clayton Montgomery. And 25th, it's Austin Halsey, with going to be Matthew Pavlik going to be in 26th. Dalton Hayes going to be in the 47, starting in 27th, with Dakota Moniz in the 5 machine, starting in 28th position. 29th is the 49 of Ryan Bird, and finishing out our top 30 will be the number 10 machine of Chris Stamper.
In 31st is the 56 of Richard Wolsifer, with Danny Cochran starting in 32nd in the 44. 33rd is going to be Martin Morales, with Clint Cox in the 03 starting in 34th. 35th is going to be Thomas Walter. 36th is going to go to the 9 Alan Elwood. 37th is going to go to Trenton Jump. 38th on the grid here is going to be Ryan Boucher. 39th is Jesse Thornock. 40th is going to go to Trevor Binns. 41st, Tanner D. Johnson. And rounding out our 42 cars here tonight at Daytona is the 18 of Nicholas Renner.
Nicholas Renner just qualifying in the last driver in the LCQ to make it in on time, as all 7 drivers that were qualifying were able to make it to the official race. here this evening. 100 laps going to be on the table. We will have a halfway bonus point from sponsored by SimSam at the end of lap 50, and that is when we are racing or under caution. If whoever's leading at the end of that lap will take that bonus point, so you might have to stay out on track if you want that halfway bonus point. But Zach, this is it. This is the season. Any final thoughts before we start off season 3?
Well, first off, like we said earlier, glad to be back, and man, oh man, it's going to kick off with a banger here this evening as we have plenty of action to look at. I mean, so many new names, but also so many old names and returning names. It, after looking at season 2, how competitive it was, this one might be the most competitive of all 3, and I cannot wait for this green flag to drop and we get this season underway.
42 drivers registered up for this race. 54 registered up for the season. You're going to see a lot of new names coming in and out throughout all these races this season, but we're happy to be back. We're happy to be home, and it's time for the season 3 race 1 of the Trinity Racing League, presented by Larry Art Productions, to be underway. Your hot lap designs 250, led by Jackson Anderson, Joshua Kanata, and the rest of the field roaring down into turn number 1.
Great start from the pole setter. He chose the outside in the 83 of Jackson Anderson, but Kanata on the bottom. He's going to have the help of Ali Fonseca in the 24, as it looks for right now to be the bottom, nosing ahead off of 2, but looking for an outside to fight back.
And drivers were really trying to build momentum. I was watching the duels last week. It was a lot of figuring out the outside lane. You could build a lot of speed. The inside row, you need a lot of help. More drivers got to be in line with you if you want to make that run work for yourself, but you got some aggressive drivers on the inside. Kanata, you got Ali Fonseca, Cody Reed. And what's great with Cody Reed and Ali Fonseca, they're returning back with Blackjack Racing, as lap 1 will be led by the returning driver of Jackson Anderson. But Blackjack Racing, Zach, Cody Reed and Ethan Smith are back on the same team. It's been years since they've been on the same team, but they're back at it again. And Nicholas Renner will be joining with that squad of Blackjack Racing.
Lovely throwback that is to some great, league lore, all the way back, to the Truck Series days that this league used to be at one time before it's went through a couple rebrands. But man, it has been fun to watch how all that picture has grown. But right now, it is looking like the racing is pretty aggressive. And the talk I have heard from a lot of drivers throughout the town, we got a little bit of time to spend with them last week during their clashes and their dual races, just to see how this race was going to kind of set up to be. And a lot of them told me, at least Sam, that they felt like the outside was going to be super dominant. And right now, what we're seeing, a lot of this working really, really well.
It certainly is. Again, having more drivers in line is going to be helping you out, as you're seeing a couple of names popping up, a lot of rookies this season that we're excited to be calling throughout to see how they evolve throughout this season. But, we missed out on calling last for season 2. We're so happy to be back, but last season, the champion was the number 3 of Thomas Green. You look at his stats compared to some of the other competitors, you'd say, how did he win the championship? It was pure just dominance there during the chase. The 3 of Thomas Green, he's got a strong teammates around him for this season, partnering up with returning drivers of Vincent Sora and Danny Cochran, and rookie of Presley Sora. This is going to be fun to see the Cochran Sora Racing team having 2 champions on that squad, of season 1 champion of Vincent Sora and season 2 of Thomas Green.
That is scary sight to see, of course, for the rest of the field, but there's a lot of names. Like you said, even Presley Sora joined that group, brother of Vincent Sora. I think that's going to be a fun little action to see how he comes in and races with these guys. He's a very talented driver, and I think he'll be at the sharp end of the field very, very soon too. So it's going to be, I think, a good mixture, of course, but it's always going to be competitive here. We got so many great drivers, so many returning ones too, also, like we've talked about, that'll make noise, and some new ones. I think that'll definitely make some noise. We're going to learn some new names.
We certainly will, and some of the drivers that are marching into our top 10, a lot of drivers that we've seen in the past, but some of the grouping of drivers that are going to be the new ones to watch out for. 12th place is the 45 of Alex Fuller. Alex Fuller was one of those drivers that really was starting to emerge late in some of the races and during the duel and the clash that they had last week's running. Also another driver to watch out for, Zachary Wake in the 39, who's currently running in 16th. Those drivers have raced with some of the veterans of the Trinity Racing League on Saturday League, ran a few months back, but it's fun to see some drivers that have kind of branched out, that are bringing some of them back here to Monday nights to test their skills with some of the best.
Definitely some of the best. I think that's a factual statement right there, Sam. But everybody doing a great job so far. And the one thing we've noticed, really, everybody's still, grouped up together. It's not really like, like everybody's just backed out of it and it's just riding. These guys are still racing pretty decently hard, and everybody really, from all the way back to 42nd there, and Trevor Benz in the 33, it's 3.5 seconds. So everybody's in the front group. Nobody's fell out of the draft.
Not at all, but there is a grouping of drivers that are willing to give a little bit of extra space, and that's everyone that's outside of the top 35 that are in line, taking it easy. 35th place runner Zach going to be Trenton Jump. Armadillo Racing is making a return back to the Monday Night Series. It's Tanner Johnson and Trenton Jump. They're going to be taking over those hands, but Zach, I'm curious when the season gets rolling, what we're going to see from Trenton Jump of this 46 team.
Always missed the Armadillos, man. Those guys always made a show for us, and going to be interesting, like you said, to see how the performance is. We've seen him perform in this, league before in the past, and we'll see how it works out here in the Xfinity car. So fun times, but up front, the outside is actually starting to make a little bit of a charge back towards the lead as they've gotten side by side here. As this Cody Reed leading that top side. We know how much Reed loves the lead in Speedway races. He's trying to get out front early.
Cody Reed, one of the more dominant drivers when you think of super speedway racing. Jackson Anderson, one of the more aggressive drivers we saw during season 1, and this polarizing back and forth that we're seeing from these groups is certainly going to be one to watch out for. Another one to watch out for, the 13, second car on the outside. It's kind of throwing me off. We're used to seeing him in the white. That's Ryan Kelly, driver who had one of the best runs throughout last season in the Trinity Racing League. Opted out of the chase, probably was the heavy favorite to win the championship before he opted out. This 13 is one of my favorites, I think, for the championship this season.
No doubt. Ryan Kelly, always such a great performing driver, and he's so consistent and so good at the tracks that we always talk about have high tire wear. So watch out for those speedways. He'll definitely be a huge factor. I look back to his teammate Larry Yingling there, of course, in the 67. We always know, got to watch out for Mr. Yingling. He's always a factor, especially these super speedways. I feel like he is one of the more underrated pushers out there. He just always is in the right spot, and he's never putting people in bad positions either, usually when he's pushing. So good at making speed, but not so good at not causing issues.
And Larry Yingling, last driver to win at a super speedway here in the Trinity Racing League back at Talladega. Last lap, last straightaway on the front stretch, heading to the line, passing Christopher Norris to take the win. It was a spectacular move by the 67, and he's hoping he's got a little bit more magic here tonight as we're finishing up the first 10th of the race. Zach, 9 laps in. And yes, we've seen a couple of jostles, seen a couple of drivers moving up quickly. One of the biggest movers in the middle of the pack currently is the 44 of Danny Cochran, who is up to 20th position. But we're really seeing these guys just staying 2 by 2, which is the best sign. It's when they start to go 3 wide. I think everyone will start to get nervous in the field.
That's for sure. And there's actually a little bit of a 3 wide action going on towards the back half of the field. I think some guy kind of shuffled in the middle, but they got it all sorted out for now. And you brought up Cochran in the 44. He's definitely made a big move up through the field, and on lap 10 here already of this race, doing a great job of moving forward. I actually talked to his team, and he told me personally this. He said, if I'm not upside down on by lap 10, then I will be surprised as though they might go upside down here.
Well, there's lap 10, and there's some drivers in the back going for a slide. And it's going to be Trevor Ben, who's going to be going for a slide. Dakota Moniz also going to get a glimpse of it as well as Alan Elwood. And Dakota gets spun back around, and it is a blown engine for the 5, the unlucky driver of Monday nights, Dakota Moniz. Zach, this is just trends continuing on, and the 5's evening is already over.
Heartbreaking right here, man. This is not what we wanted to see for Dakota. He's had, great runs at super speedways, but of course this can always be the luck of things. You see it all transpiring in front of him, and there's nowhere for Dakota to go. He is literally the odd man out there, and unfortunately he's going to go head first into that barrier, and that's going to ruin that engine. So yeah, that's night over for the 5 most likely, unless some miracle if somehow he has better repairs than I think he will.
Yeah, it needs a fast prayer if he wants to get back into it. That is your Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios first replay of the night. Again, go follow Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios on Instagram, as well as Tattoo by Polly. That is a one-stop shop to go find yourself your custom, fully colored tattoo, stickers, prints, and more at Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios on Instagram. As Dakota Moniz just trying to continue to run as many laps as possible before you most likely will get disqualified or forced to pit road. Frustrating to see for the 5 machine, but Ryan Kelly up front is 13. 83 to the inside. You know, another thing that we didn't get to talk about, we're going to bring up probably a lot here this evening, is starting to see some drivers trying to mix it to that third lane, but Zach, blown engines of overheating. That's going to be another thing to watch out for, is Christopher Norris poking the nose in the middle, and that is not good. There's trouble brewing as they are on top of one another. It's Christopher Norris, Vincent Sora bumping off the exit of the corner, and oh no, Ollie. Watch out, Ollie Fonseca. And this is the worst sign to see if you're 3 wide and a driver in the middle is wiggling like that.
Oh, Vince Sora was pushing the 38, and he was a little loose on the rear end there. And, you know, you brought up, Sam, about overheating temperatures right there. Could be a cause of it. If you stick up, you know, behind someone too long, too close, stacked up behind them, you can quickly blow those motors. So we got to watch out for that. But, yeah, that 3-wide action there happened a little bit, and it's still kind of transpiring right now as you got Sipes there in the 29. He's kind of odd man out, stuck in the sucker hole, so to say. But it is a tough position to be in when you have no help there. But I'm not surprised by some of these moves we're seeing. Christopher Norris has been the most aggressive. He led that way to the middle of the first group, and right now doing the same thing, jump to the outside of a few others.
Jumps to the outside, but it is going to be the Concord Sora Racing drivers that are the ones that are trying to make the power moves. Watch out for the 09 as well as the 44. They are moving with the 15. They are taking every dashing move, and it's the brothers, Vincent Sora, Presley Sora, to the lead is the 15 and the 09.
Wow, those moves were amazing right there. You know, the 15 was pushing the 38 through the middle at one point. Now he's shot to the lead, but his brother are going to look to lead the inside line. They may look to do the old trick of leading both lines. You can control both lanes. It's much easier for a team to hold, you know, grasp of that lead.
And it makes it a lot easier because on the inside, you also have Danny Cochran teaming up Presley and also Vincent Sora. So that's going to allow them to really take control of this racing. Presley Sora, you know, he's going for this rookie season, and a lot of unknowns of what the 09 is going to have on speed compared to the rest of the field. But I'm excited to see the brothers racing with one another once again.
Definitely exciting times to see, you know, siblings always race each other, and we know these two are good enough to where it could be a sibling rivalry, and that could definitely have some sparks of drama fly, of course, throughout the season. But, you know, right there, some aggressive moves were made early here in this race to get some track position. Who's going to be the next to kind of make that move? Right now, everybody 2x2 once again, but you can see there's a lane there in the middle, and that's what allows the opportunity for someone to get aggressive and kind of, you know, shove it up the middle there and try to make something happen. A lot of times it leads to incidences, but sometimes it can be the winning move to get yourself up there and lead this race.
A lot of red, white, and blue being ran here tonight, with it being the 4th of July and Independence weekend. These drivers recognizing some of those colors, and some of these red, white, and blue machines are the ones that I'm eyeing out, especially right now the 3 and the 29 on the inside. They've got the 77 of Joshua Stovall. And Zach, that's my circle, the 77. Stovall changed his number, saw how Carson Hocevar was racing, said, you know what, maybe I'll race more like him as well. So took the 77 number here on Monday nights, and Zach, we know that Stovall's not afraid to try some aggressive moves.
It's a pretty fitting number, I'd say, so that is going to play pretty well, I think, into his whole role in this league. And, yeah, he's going to be fun to watch. He's always a great performer, and, you know, he's aggressive here at the Super Speedway. He's willing to take the risks, so watch out for him as this race gets closer down to the thick end of things. But for now, everybody doing a great job again still, and it looks like for the time being 38 cars onto the pack. It looks like right now Thomas Walter has lost that, or sorry, 35 cars into the first pack, as we got a little bit of a 3-car break with John C. Thorne, Nicholas Renner, and Tanner D. Johnson. Then the rest of the cars were the ones involved in that incident.
And those guys that were involved in the earlier incident that did not bring out a caution back at lap 10. One driver officially out of the race because of that wreck, and that's Dakota Moniz in the 5. He has already left the server and is done, and will take 42nd place in points as drivers in the middle of the pack. You can see trying to give each other space. I think the big 3-wide moves kind of spooked a few drivers. Said, you know what, let's give each other space. If you want to make a move, go make it and slide up, down, wherever you feel like you're going to be able to move forward. I'm willing to just settle back in that 20th position where we're seeing a lot of drivers just be willing to sit there. But a lot of big moves we've seen so far. Top three, the biggest movers of the night of Presley Sora, Vincent Sora, and Danny Cochran, as well as Justin Sipes back in 9th of 12 positions from where they started. But the one that's lost the most time, our pole sitter, Jackson Anderson, Zach, he's back to 22nd place and right in the middle of all of these drivers that are 2-3 wide.
You know, Jackson was one of those drivers that kind of got hung out to dry. It was, I think, Christopher Norris who jumped to his outside to make it 3 wide, and everybody followed the 38. And did not follow this 83, so it kind of really put him in a bad position to be in the middle with no help. Lost a lot of spots and is now going to have to just slowly find his way back forward and maybe do similar moves to get his way up there, as we've seen some aggressive moves from a lot of people. But right now, everybody 2x2 for the time being, and again, it's just who's going to play that first move. Like you said, I think it's almost like a little bit of a spook that goes through the drivers for a little bit. They go, okay, let's ride for a little bit. Then someone gets a little bit antsy, and next thing you know, that move's being made.
And right in front of Jackson Anderson was the 10 machine. That's going to be Chris Stamper. Chris Stamper's teaming up with Clayton Cox, 2 drivers that are making a return from last season and started to see a little bit of 3-wide action, of course. Guys I was expecting to see, it's going to be seeing Sipes, Green, as well as Christopher Norris, seeing an opportunity to make it 3-wide, and they're going to go push forward. And we're still only 19 laps in, but watch out for the team at 6:06. That's going to be Clint Cox and Stamper. Those guys were known as the Yellow Machines last season. That's their moments of carnage at times, a little bit over zealous aggression that hurt the field, but we'll see if they can translate that here tonight or willing to wait as Norris drops down that 38. Saw an opening, thought he was going to have a big enough run to run up to the 44, but just stalling out right next to the 3.
Oh, and another driver right behind him of Thomas Green just squeezed up into that outside line. Luckily, a checkup was there. But one thing I saw there when Norris made that move 3 wide there on the bottom, he lost the rear end of that car as he turned aggressively down the track. And that's telling me these guys are going through a little bit of handling issues here. This daytime at Daytona, this place will cause, those tires to overheat a little bit sometimes, and you'll get very, very much caught off guard with a loose sensation.
And during the duels as well as during the chase, it was around the 20 to 27 lap marker where the drivers started to look a little bit looser, and there were some contacts and drivers just losing the rear end off the exit of the corner. So I'm not surprised, but what you're seeing, Zach, this is carrying over and translating exactly what they were seeing last week. So if iRacing had any updates, not really affecting how these drivers are feeling. We are seeing everyone attacking to go forward, but the usual talking point when you come to a super speedway of how close you are to the drivers ahead of you, the vision, the lack of vision, really, that you have in front of you as the field is closing up to the 33 of Trevor Benz, who's staying low.
It is so tough when we're riding on board here with Cochran, who is in this inside line right now, running in the 8th position, about the 3rd car in that inside line. It's so hard to see. He can kind of see a little bit to the right here, of course, that outside line, but up ahead of him here with the 25 of Cody Reed, you can't really see through his rear windshield to see, the next cars ahead. And you're kind of at the mercy of just judging everything based off how that car in front of you is going. So it a lot of times causes those accordion effects where someone's slowing down 2 to 3 cars ahead.
Contact, Ollie Fonseca going into Benz, who is on the apron, just a bad bump, shoving the 24 down, and there they go. It's going to be Presley Sora, rest of the field, the big one here on lap 22, as everyone's trying to come to a halt as they scatter across the track down to the inside, and more drivers taking on damage.
All right in the middle of it, so many drivers just not able to get slowed down. The track was just covered, and you can't get to 0 mile an hour immediately without at least getting run over either. So this is a tough situation. But yeah, big stack up there with Fonseca there on the 24 getting to the apron. But it was the contact from the 29 Sipes to the back of the 09 who put him up into stits. And through there, it was a parking lot of cars just getting involved.
A lot of drivers just going through the madness and just a bad bump. We're going to take another look at this of what happened to the 24 that shot him down into the lap car, because it looked like for Trevor Benz, he was trying to stay out of the way. Now, the recoil of all that action will bring out this caution, but you're going to see the 24 trying to side draft, hold back that outside lane. But then the 24 comes down, blocks the 09, gives a bad bump that shoots him down the apron. But then, Zach, there they go. Presley Sora gets squeezed, and there's just nowhere else really for these guys to go but to run into one another.
Exactly, and it just causes the accordion effect where the 29 of Sipes has a run on these guys. He's didn't lift enough, unfortunately, got into the back bumper, and from there, it is just collision. You see Christopher Norris in the 38. Look at that. Danny Cochran got sideswiped there by a car coming through. The 19, a Dingler, involved in that also, and that was, or sorry, Joshua Soar involved in that. Is multiple cars stacking up here.
Yeah, we've called a lot of guys throughout the year, so I'm not surprised. Different names, different numbers. We'll get them after a couple of weeks, but that was the 30 that came in and sideswiped Danny Cochran, and drivers were very vocal over the radio. Not impressed with what they call quote-unquote ARCA braking, where they feel like you had plenty of time to slow down. But this caution is going to give some drivers required damage, and that will be the 30 as well as the 44 required damage for Matthew Pavlik as well as Danny Cochran. Because of that sideswipe, they both are now going to have to sit in pit road for extra time.
I think on Cochran, it broke the suspension on his car because not able to steer like he wants.
It's completely broke.
Yeah, he can't really get turned, I don't think.
He completely missed pit road. Same for the 30. He just drove on through. I think they both know that that was a race-ending contact for potentially the both of them. And that is frustrating to take it. And now both are just going to be racing each other to see who stays out the longest. The black flag has been also given to Danny Cochran due to not being able to make a safe pit entry.
That's so tough, and I don't know how he's going to be able to try to get it down there because, again, that left front's broken, so it doesn't really want to steer. I don't want to steer left. He's going to have to do a really good job of trying to get that thing turned down, so we'll see what happens with that group, but for the time being, it looks like Larry Yingling is going to win the race off pit road from everybody.
That's going to be a nice little 2 tires and fuel, as everyone else taking 4 tires and fuel. Everybody was given 4 sets of tires to work with. We also want to say thank you to our caution flag sponsor, being Premier Racing Setups. Looking for a winning edge on the track? Premier Racing Setups is your primary destination for top-tier dirt and oval racing setups. Engineered for speed, also consistency and victory. Head on over to PremierRacingSetups.com and use the promo code REN15. That's RENNER, number 15 at checkout to save 15% on your order. As the rest of the field, there are about 8 other drivers in pit road staying for extra damage repair after being collected in that incident. And Matthew Pavlik still needing to make his way into pit road. Same for Danny Cochran. As we are going to have our first choose of the season. Drivers have to make a decision. Do you stay on the track? Do you go on the apron? Where will you place yourself for the choose of the inside or outside lane?
That's exactly right. Always love to see this part of the aspect of the racing. You see everybody diving here. There's the people on the apron taking the inside, people to the right of that, going to go take the outside. So that is going to be a crucial thing, especially if we get a late race restart. Sam, picking your lane here is so important for how your restart is going to go here and how your line moves.
It certainly is going to be one of those factors. I think also at other tracks we go to, which one's the most dominant lanes for restarts? Well, for super speedways, how do you get yourself up front? How do you get yourself lined up with teammates? Is it more preferred to be with teammates or to have track position? That's going to be the fun part of this race as we are a quarter of the way done. Lap 25 we currently are underway. I want to say thank you to everyone that's out in chat. Who are you rooting for? If you've got the ability to go down there and comment, we'd love to see who are you rooting for as your drivers to win. Are you rooting for a whole team? Multiple drivers. We'd love to see who you are rooting for. I know, Zach, this is just fun for us to be back. We loved calling the Trinity Racing League and all the times that we got to have the core group of these drivers got to call on Mondays, and it is a joy to be seeing familiar faces, names. They might change their numbers, but it's great to see these guys out on track once again for the Trinity Racing League, presented by Larry Arts Production for Season 3. Calling here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
No doubt, yeah, it's a sweet sound through all of our ears here to hear those things together. So back at it, here we are, and these guys are about to go back at it here on the racetrack because we've got a quarter of the race complete now, 25 laps down when they cross the line. There's going to be 75 to go here in Daytona. Let's see how they react to this first big incident that we just had.
Going to be getting word from the 38 team. Only 15 seconds of damage repair. He's good to go. We also have Lenny Reed out in chat rooting on Cody Reed. We love to see Lenny out in chat rooting on his son as we are back to green flag racing. Larry Yingling going to be the driver on the outside, having teammate of going to be the 13 of Ryan Kelly working together as they push on forward. It's good to see some of the drivers from Thunder Valley Seal racing with one another. That's going to be Cedric Hunter, Ryan Kelly, Chris Stitz, and Larry Yingling going to be working as a group. And Zach, I know that's an interesting pairing to see Cedric Hunter grouping up with Yingling and Kelly for this season when we've seen that Seven kind of be on his own at times.
For sure, yeah. I think he found a good group there. Those guys are so consistent, that group of teammates there, and they really work together well as teammates. So I think Cedric will find himself right at home with that grouping, and I think it'll also help his performances at some of the intermediates, just to bounce ideas off him, because we know how good Kelly is, we know how good Stitz is, and of course Yingling always willing to play the team game too for him. So that'll be a great asset to add for them guys, and I think even they got the likes of Jarrett Talmadge in their, at least their voice chat, so they'll have a little bit of camaraderie there for sure. We'll see how that works throughout the season, because we got some strong other teams also.
It's always great to see old drivers out in chat that have been on Freaky Fast broadcasting calls. I want to give a shout out to Levi Cox, who's out in the chat. He's rooting on that Thunder Valley Seal Coat Racing team. And another driver we love to see out on track, the 91 of Martin Morales. I know it was a whole group effort of everyone kind of trying to peer pressure Martin on coming back. He made a couple of showings last season. It was a grand return racing at Martinsville for season 2, but choosing to try to run for the whole season. The season is Martin Morales, and it's great to see the 91 out there on a very clean Team Watson Racing setup scheme. I love that 91 scheme and the way it came out this season.
Definitely looks good, and always good to have Martin out there. He's a long-time Freaky Fast broadcasting driver that has been around for forever with us too. So great to have him back here at Trinity and looking to run full-time. It looks like now these drivers turning the wick up. It is 3 wide times right on board with Jarrett Talmadge. He's kind of picking and choosing. Does he follow the likes of Cody Reed here through the middle, or does he look to stay there because they're beating and banging up ahead of him? They're kind of squeezing together, as I don't know if they thought they were 3 wide.
Yeah, I think a couple of drivers are trying to just utilize a little bit of side drafting right now. Ali Fonseca trying to hold back the 15 from allowing that middle group to move forward, and hoping to get a little bit of more help from Cody Reed. Now going to be forced in the middle to stay there is now Nick Crawford will be leading the outside row. Driver that was race control now out on track. Good to see the 74 out there as a couple of drivers seeing what's happening ahead and saying, you know what, let's go to the apron, let's get in line. They drop to the back to avoid the carnage that looks to be a brewing, as 18 of Nicholas Renner is moving through the middle, and he's making the choice. It's time to go now.
Is some drivers making the decision to drop back, other drivers saying put me in, coach. So let's see how this works out for these guys, but I'm always interested to see how the racing changes as, you know, the ebbs and flows of these cautions go. It always makes things change up with the driver's mentality, and we'll see though, because these guys, I all know, very aggressive, a lot of these drivers out here, willing to make big moves and not just willing to wait. That's why I think we're going to see racing all throughout the night.
You see that gray camo? I know exactly what car's in front of us. We're right on board with going to be Nicholas Renner. That's the 00 of Ethan Smith. Ethan Smith as a driver that is happy to be seen, always carrying the banner of Blackjack Racing that once was one of the top teams to watch on Monday nights, as we've seen so many greats go through the name of Blackjack Racing. But the returning of Cody Reed and Ethan Smith, the OGs of the Blackjack Racing team. It's good to see them partnering up with Ali Fonseca and Nicholas Renner. I know it's been a lot of talking of, can we get Nicholas Renner to stay for a whole season? That's going to be the running gag of the offseason. We'll see if the 18 can stay on track and survive the whole race, and can he stay there for a chase push? Because that 18 does have speed underneath him. The question is, can he finish out the races at the very end? As starting to see some of those new names that maybe we weren't able to call last season making their push for the 03 of Clint Cox now into the top 10. And Zach, a couple of other names that we didn't get to call last season, and also rookies of the Trinity Racing League just outside of the top 10, waiting for their chances to emerge and move forward.
So sure, you got Alex Fuller back there in 13th. He's trying to make his way forward. Alan J. Elwood 15th, and Elwood was outside the draft after that, incident that did not bring out the caution. Luckily, that caution spared him from going a lap down. He's back up in the mix also.
As the Elwood Designs Esports is coming through, that's Alan Elwood and the one of Clayton Montgomery that are going to be a part of a team. The one of Clayton a little bit further back in 27th position compared to seeing the 9 machine up inside of the top 15 as Cody Reed gets bounced down onto the apron. He finds a way to slot back into the group, but that middle pack, once again, it's Presley Sora and seeing the 38 of Christopher Norris. As some drivers' instincts, I've got to go. And the 38, the 74, they're trying to get paired up. The old Snowy Desert Racing banners trying to get with one another.
That it is Nick Crawford, and you got Christopher Norris there lined up in that middle. Like you said, the President Sora in 09 who was involved in that incident, right back in the mix. So showing they didn't get too damaged as Sora up into the outside there. I think that's his teammate of the 3 of Thomas Green there, who luckily no damage. Or actually, that was Alan Elwood, up top there in the 9 machine, who made the contact with the 09. But definitely don't want to see too much of that. Don't want to see the 09 back involved in another one.
No, you do not want to see if the 9s can play a little bit nice here. Starting to see everyone jostling for position as Clint Cox as well as Chris Stamper. That 606 team is starting to make their moves on the outside. And Zach, we touched on that at the very beginning. The outside row is where the strength would loom, and they're showing it right now, especially with Larry Yingling and Ryan Kelly up front 1-2.
Two teammates right now showing a lot of class right against the wall. And yeah, we saw this in the duels and in the chase or in their races last week. It really was the outside line that was very dominant, and I had a lot of drivers tell me, it's like, man, we just try to make something happen, but the outside just was so strong that it kind of made things very, very tough without overheating on that bottom side to make something happen. So we'll see how it works. But right now, Nick Crawford, he did not want to stay at the 83. He left him on the drive, went up the middle, and multiple drivers follow that 74 along with Vincent Sora, and that middle line's coming up here quickly.
And that 83 just got shuffled so quickly that Jackson Anderson or Pulse that are losing touch and trying to find allies where there just aren't. That is one of the hard portions of super speedway racing, is if you don't have a team or a group of drivers that you could work with, you're kind of on your own. You come to a super speedway and the usual talking point is anyone can win, but it's difficult to do it on your own.
That's for sure, Sam. And I've watched a few times already tonight. That 83, he has really made no friends out there. Everybody that's come up to him has pretty much turned left or right on him and went around him. So he is in a precarious situation where it doesn't seem like a lot of people are willing to work with him right now, and that can be sometimes very tough at these super speedways. So we'll see how Anderson can make his way through that, but sometimes you can put yourself in those positions where they have to help you also.
Oh, boy. Yeah, here we go. Lap car going to be on the inside, forcing it 4 wide once again. That was the trouble that brought out our first caution. Stephen Clapp continues to stay low, and then Jarrett Talmadge nowhere to go for the 27, and he just has to sit behind and fade to the back until he finds an opening to move up. And luckily, the field survives one lap car. And then it's the question of, can they survive the next one? Because they've got to... they're over the radio. You got to give credit to the field. They were over the radio communicating well of there's a lap car coming up in front of us. React properly. He's staying low. And luckily the field was able to avoid, but it really jostled up that 3 wide battling and forced everyone to 2 wide to single file racing.
That's exactly right. Now we got a bunch of gaps. You can see right here, everything's jostled up. This is going to make some big, big runs from a lot of drivers all around the track. And expect for big moves here to be made here in the next few moments while people start to get runs from farther back and try to use that momentum maybe to slingshot around this pack, or do they make it too wide? That's going to be the interesting case here, because right now they're kind of stuck up beside each other, not opening that middle lane up too much.
Inside, Nick Crawford, Christopher Norris working together, hoping to move this line forward as much as possible, but they are just stalling out for the battling for 4th place between Chris Stamper and the 74. And luckily the field is okay, but it did break up the field. We now have 2 distinct packs. We got the top 22 that are together. Flash driver in line there is Samuel S. Garcia, which Sam had his birthday last week during the chase and duel, so he had a little bit of fun coming away second during the clash that they had to finish off the duels night. And the 50 machine, sponsor of the halfway point for SimSam. SimSam, if you're looking for fun, relatable sim racing content, head over to SG_racing or look up SimSam. You can find all of Samuel Garcia's content at SimSam on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Twitch, where you can see some great content. And as well, what's fun is Sam also is one of the head going to be one of the head social media content creators for the Trinity Racing League over the last couple of seasons, and he has done some great content that you should go check out after the racing's done. But Zach, we got another lap car that looks to be up in front of this pack right when they get 3 wide again.
That's for sure. It's going to be interesting to see how they make around this one. But here it is, Jackson Anderson, 83. He's trying to use the draft off the lap car of the 19 of Sawyer. As they come to him, Sawyer's going to drop to the apron, allow everybody to go by. So respectful move from him there. But Anderson, with the help of the 3 of Thomas Green, has been on the slingshot his way back towards the lead.
And Sawyer will get back in line as everyone else is single file behind him, so he'll get around. But Anderson, Yangling moving their way forward as you've got the Season 1 and Season 2 champ in line behind that 83 as they're trying to make that run work for themselves. But it just looks like, Zach, the timing of the bumps so critical right on the entry of going into that tri-oval. Not the most optimal place to give a bump, as 83 able to hold on just for now. But man, he looked out of control heading into 1.
Oh, he did. That is, like you said, a very vulnerable area as a driver when you turn into that, you know, that tri-oval. It's almost more vulnerable there to get a bump than it is almost entering the corner, because the banking is less, and you know, you're turning the wheel at actually a slight good bit there, and it can make that car very, very upset. So great job by the 83 holding on to it there, but those are the bumps you need sometimes to get the runs you need.
And there's a good cluster of drivers with all the lap car shenanigans that have kind of gone down. It is hurt quite a few strong contenders, and losing touch to the lead pack. Going to be 32nd position, and that's going to be Ryan Bush, who's going to be in the 23 machine. He is currently down in 32nd. Joshua Kanata has lost touch to the pack, as well as Tanner Johnson, Dalton Hayes, Zachary Wake, Justin Sipes. Those guys have still good speed, but they've lost touch to the main draft, and they are now just sitting and waiting for a caution to be thrown, as we are on lap 41, 10 laps away from your SimSam halfway bonus point. Whoever's leading at the end of lap 50 gets a 1 bonus point for themselves. If we're under caution, if we're under green flag racing, it's whoever leads at that lap.
You can see right there, Yingling saw that inside lane pull up along them. He comes down, side drafts them on the exited corner. Then immediately, as he starts to pull the side draft on them, pulls away from that 83 to get away from his quarter panel, so it doesn't pull him back. So definitely some good, useful tactics being used from this outside line to hold that inside line off so far. But right now, the inside is showing off that it can fight. It's just going to be a tough one.
It needs a lot of help, and the gaps on the outside are helping quite a bit, as Cody Reed trying to see where he can maybe flirt to put himself in the outside or maybe force down the middle. There's just nothing really to go for the 25, but outside of the top 10, there's a couple of drivers of note to watch out for. Driver moving from the booth on Wednesday nights to now on track on Mondays and Tuesdays, Richard Wolsifer in 13th position, the 56. A driver that's going to be fun to see how he grows as a driver. Haven't really watched a lot of Richard racing in this O'Reilly's car, but it's going to be fun to see how he reacts with this type of a vehicle and how he contends with this type of a field. I know Richard was hoping to run with a lot of these guys on Wednesdays before just things changed around. So kind of giving the feel of the old WSSR days, and that's why Richard came back to try to give a chance to run with these guys here, as seeing the only driver on the 6.5 Motors team. But good to see that 56 out on track. And then behind them will be Chris Stitz, and Zach Stitz was the driver that won the opener last season when they were at Atlanta for that opening race. Curious if Stitz can find some more opening racing action for the 17.
Well, he's teammates of Yingling and Kelly up front, doing a great job leading this outside line, and he's got Cedric Hunter, his other teammate there, not too far behind. So I think if you're Stitz, he can be able to position himself to get some help here late into this race, and it's just going to take well orchestrated pit stops. You know, sometimes if we get far enough here into these runs and we get some green flag stops, those are the best times to get lined up with your teammates and get orchestrated well together. As right now we're seeing a few guys get a little tight on the entry there to the 3 and 4 and get up into the wall.
Yeah, a little bit of bizarre pitting by himself, the 27 of Jarrett Talmadge. And I think this might be a tactical pit stop where he's hoping to stay on the lead lap and maybe bank on a caution to come out. I don't know exactly which strategy is being made, but the 27 making a stop by himself, as up front getting a little bit hairy is Thomas Green, as well as Vincent Sora. Big pushes, and the 3 is practically drifted through turns 1 and 2 to hold on the outside.
Very interesting pit stop, like you said there, for Talmadge, but it's the outside line getting their show from the 67 of Yingling. Green trying to take control of the outside line while Sora, his teammate, also leads the bottom. They looked to do this before for that Cochran Sora Racing team, and now Vince Sora going to jump up with his teammate and going to look to ride on this top side as they got Anderson still fighting on the bottom with the likes of Cody Reed. Look at Cedric Hunter. He's made a charge up too there. The 13 and the 7 is now they're going to be going by Talmadge here to put him a lap down.
And Talmadge will stay high, so not doing what all the other lap cars have done, is stay low. He will force everyone to squeeze down to the inner groove. And now space for some drivers. This is going to help the 27 stay in the lead pack as he's still at full strength. But it is an awkward footing of being 1 lap down as they're closing in on Steven Clapp once again to put the 88 machine down for the 3rd time. But looking up front, it is still Vincent Sora, Thomas Green. They're going to swap positions. Now the 3 going to be trying to push the 15. And Jackson Anderson, I mean, even with being pushed around, sent to the back, this is impressive on the fact that he continuously gets back up front, even with drivers just not wanting to work with them.
That's exactly right. And here comes Steven Clapp to get lapped. And this is going to be interesting. He's on the bottom line. Everybody's stacking up and into the wall on the outside here.
That was Ollie Fonseca that goes into the outside wall for a moment. They're still going to be 3 wide with a 24 all the way up there. Little bit of a squeeze, and you better hope that you don't go 3 wide here, but they will, as we're going to be seeing Alan Elwood force the middle groove. That bottom line has to be careful, as that 88 is heavily underpowered, but Nick Crawford continuously shoving and just forcing the 88 forward, but that is killing all the momentum on the inside.
That is, and that is just tough to see for those drivers that get stacked up behind them. Luckily, we've kept it straight for the time being, because I was worried there for a moment with everybody there as Fonseca was in the wall, and it's not getting better. It's just looking close back there.
And Fonseca just said over the radio, "I apologize, my screen went black." So that could have been way worse of a situation. That is a way worth of applause on the fact that, yes, the pack is split up dramatically. There's plenty of cars in the second pack that if they get in line, they'll catch up to this lead group quickly. But that is impressive, the fact that we did not lose the whole middle pack of that field when Ollie Fonseca lost his screen.
That is about the scariest thing you can have is lose your vision when you're driving. So definitely not great for Fonseca. Good job. Really not letting it happen, I guess, and keeping it up to the higher side, and everybody was able to navigate around them. It's like you said, that second pack with the numbers they have, they will easily be able to catch back up to this lead group, who right now is about a 15-car breakaway. But that second group being led by Alex Fuller in 16th will be quickly up to him, in my opinion.
Well, here we go, Zach. It's time. It is crunch time for the bonus point. It is your Sim Sam halfway bonus point. 2 laps to go to see who will take that halfway bonus point. Will it be Vincent Sora? Could it be Cody Reed? Will Larry Yingling and Ryan Kelly do a little bit of a jostle? Or could it be a weird dynamic duo of Hunter and Wolsifer to make their way forward? Because there is some names that we have not seen work together just yet because of the shuffling. That certainly has made our top 15 an interesting spot, because it is going to be wide open. Bonus point on the line as they exit out of 4, about to take the halfway bonus point. A white flag, you could say. And here we go, Zach. Who's getting that halfway bonus point?
This has been a great job by Sora so far. He's been controlling the lanes. He pulls now the inside up to him, but if he's going to go back up top, he's got to quickly get there. And at the inside line now, he will be able to control it because he's got the help of Anderson. But it was the push there who got him loose. That could get a little bit sideways there. As now the 15 jumps back to the top side as he'll have the help of the 25 down the back straight.
That 15 trying to control both lanes as well as he can, trying to hold back everyone. Vincent Sora dominated the first season, the only season he's ran so far in the Trinity Racing League. Won 7 times, and he's hoping to get the first halfway bonus point of the season. Exit out of 4. Your last dashing moves if you want the bonus point over the 15. The inside starting to get the run, but it's not enough. Vincent Sora will lead and take your Sim Sam halfway bonus point. Congratulations to that 15 team. And here we go, Zach. Well, half of the race is done, and now we settle in for the second half.
That we are, and now we see Anderson fight back up alongside there, trying to take the lead in the inside lane, but the good side draft from the 15 on the outside of Sora will control the time for that lead for the time being. But yeah, what a good job by the season 1 champion to get an early point added to his total here, and he'll be looking to see if he can conclude this race near the front half of the field. Also, is right now I'm kind of surprised this second group here, Sam, and 16th on back, they have not caught up.
They've not caught up because they're staying side by side as well. Still about a second and a half back is the difference between 15th and 16th, and they are losing touch, the second pack to the first group, just because of the side drafting, the battling against one another. I think if they all got in line, they would catch up to this lead pack very quickly, but that choice of who's going to be the leader, who's going to be the second car in line, how do we want to get in line with one another, kind of difficult to make that choice. But the outside, better be careful. That outside one was calling for somebody to touch it, and luckily nobody did.
That's for sure, as that gap continues to grow. 2.6 seconds now, the difference between Renner to our lead driver of Jackson Anderson at the time being for this front group. So we'll see how that can work out, as even as I say that, they get 3 wide back in that back group as they shove Alex Fuller up to the top line, and that is going to make the case even worse for them. So that second group needs to get things together, because they need to be able to get back up to this front group before we start to get closer and closer here to pit stops, as we're about 30 laps into this first stint, or this stint here on these tires and fuel.
And the one little worry for the drivers that are in the front pack, a little bit of blinking action for the 09 to Presley Sora. That's kind of the only worry that's happening up front. That backpack starting to get more and more in line, and they are closing in on the distance. Now 1.6 between 15th and 16th as our front group starting to close in on another lap car, and that's going to be the 19 of Joshua Sawyer, who's just going to be riding the inside group most likely, as he has dropped to the inside. That's going to force Jackson Anderson to move high, and everyone else is going to move out of the way as lap car stays low, and then we're right on board with the 18 of Nicholas Renner as he's 1.5 seconds back, and Zachy is trying to close in the difference, and this lap car actually might assist this second pack, but you better communicate on where the lap car is, because if he stays low, that's trouble, but he goes high.
And he does. Joshua Sawyer getting out of the way, doing a good job there. He just needs to probably try to latch on. I don't know if that car's too damaged to latch on, but we'll see if he can. Is up front. Anderson gets left out the dry, and up 3 wide is now it's Cedric Hunter.
Oh boy, contact. Hold on, 3 wide, give space, and able to get in line and work with one another. The aggressive 3 wide moves are just hurting everybody, and they had to check up, and that gap, those 1.5, is now gone. The second pack completely now in the mix.
That is great to see for that second pack, but wow, what a save it was from the 7 to Cedric Hunter. He got a big shove from the 56 of Richard Wolster as they went 3 wide for that lead, and it really got that car upset on entry, and he was holding on to that thing all the way to the center of the corner, where luckily they gathered it up. But like you said, the second group is back, and now we have 30 cars in the front group.
Important bad news for Joshua Sawyer that was just trying to putter around the race and was just hoping to finish this race. Was given a required damage flag. Not sure if it was because of a blown tire or if there was mechanical error that forced him into pit road, but required damage flag forcing him to pit. And we'll see if the 19 get back out on track, because that's a position for Steven Clapp. But it is great to see all 30 drivers back in the pack. And Zach, with the fact that pit stops are looming around the corner, that is going to be making things very interesting, because we know all 30 drivers will not be with one another after this pit cycle concludes.
That's for sure. Pit stops is where it separates the field. We know how much those matter. Green flag stops can be such a tragic time here at these super speedways, because you don't want to come by yourself. You do not want to be the lone man coming down. We saw Jared Talmadge. He had to come down, I assume from him, he did not fuel that car up under his pit stop because of where he stopped. It seemed about the distance of what they would be able to do with the amount of caution laps they had under green flag conditions. So Talmadge, tough position, but these guys all going to come down now and fuel those cars up. And you want to have a group, because if you don't, you will be getting left out to dry when you come back around with no help. But when you come with that group, it makes everything that much scarier entering pit road.
Communication is going to be key. How do you react when you visually see a bunch of drivers duck down low off of turn 4, as Joshua Sawyer has left pit road after getting a little bit of those repairs done and getting new tires. And here we go, Zach, another lap going by. Another car going to be in front. That's Justin Sipes. That's crazy to see. The 29, who once was in the fight to get these drivers up front from that Cochran Sora racing team, is now about to be going a lap down in 36th position as the field is bearing down unless a mistake is made, because these guys are giving some wicked bumps to one another.
That's for sure. And like you said, we got the lap cars here. Of course, it's Sipes. And then also not far ahead of them, we'll have Clapp again, who is much more underpowered and off pace, about 3 seconds off pace compared to even Sipes. So we'll see here as now Sipes holds the bottom. Reed kind of shimmies up to the top, as now he kind of follows through the middle as everybody looks to scoot by the 29. I expect Sipes to be able to latch onto this group, but it's the 88 Clapp, the one is I'm worried about. Here comes the 88 here, much underpowered. And right here, as he catches up to the 29, this is where it's going to stack up.
And Sipes is now going to back off on his paces. Slot in line. And that right there, a hold your breath moment. And the field survives once again with lap cars being on the inside and everyone squeezing through from 3 wide to 2 wide. The faster lap vehicles finding their openings. And it just, those type of moments is what's giving the 83 of Jackson Anderson these opportunities to fight back. Everyone else has been trying to push him as farther back in the field as possible. But the 83 sees an opportunity, strikes forward, utilizing the momentum perfectly, and he's right back there pushing the 25 of Cody Reed. Your top 10 have stayed pretty much the same throughout this 35-lap run. Seen a couple of moves here and there, but Zach, this just means everyone outside of the top 10, when we get to those final couple laps, when we get after done with this pit stop, that's when everything's going to change as Sipes heads to pit road. He's been driving by himself, so that's his closing sign. Pit stops could be looming.
Sipes spins around coming to pit road, so that's going to hurt him even worse. He's getting some black flag. He actually toes, and we'll see how his night continues. He's actually equals him on the wall. He says night over for the 29.
Oh no, contact, center corner, sideways in front of the field. More drivers going around, and it's caution with both Sore brothers being the ones tossed as everyone else trying to come to a halt. Renner piles in late. Garcia with a little bit of contact. And oh my goodness, just those bad bumps off the exit of the corner. Rippled finally up front.
Sora aggressive. Well, sorry, Vincent sort of aggressive with the bumps to the 7, and I think we'll see here really nothing Cedric Hunter could do, and luckily for him, he kind of just gets away with this all right, but it's the other drivers behind who really collect the damage. As you can see, there's the bump from the 15 to the 7. Vincent sort of checks up there. You can see Larry Yingling, Ryan Kelly involved, some really good race cars. The 09 of Presley's were also involved, so both Sora brothers, like Sam was saying. But this right here, a big wreck at the front end of the field.
And now if you're Sipes, you're questioning, man, if you just stayed out, you might have been the guy to get the lucky dog. Could have been still out there as you see the field just piling through and everyone trying to find their openings and just hard contacts. Ethan Smith with a late hit. And there's going to be Nick Runner trying to get around, but there's just nowhere to go. I mean, you got the blinking 09 in front of you. You see smoke, you try to slow up, but at this point, there's nowhere really to go except for running to the driver ahead of you.
I mean, by the time he saw smoke, he was pretty much already in that thing. So that is just tough for Renner there, and he'll get his car spun back around. But this is just a tough incident for drivers who had nowhere to go there. But this does help one driver out there, Jarrett Talmadge in the 27. He was in the position for the lucky dog. He'll get the lucky dog this time and get back on the lead lap.
It's crazy to see majority of the front runners able to continue running as well as they could. What a time to get a caution for the field. 40 laps to go. Again, cautions are sponsored by Premier Racing Setups. Head on over to premierracingsetups.com and remember to use the promo code Renner15. Use the last name of Nick Renner with the number 15 and get yourself a little bit of help as drivers are having some issues. Cody Reed has to do a complete U-E, and instead of being up front, complete loss of time for the 25.
Oh, wild scenes there for the 25 of Reed, who is going to lose a ton of positions from this. I mean, we know how good he is at making spots back up, but that was definitely interesting there. I think maybe that was contact between him and his teammate of Ali Fonseca.
Miscues when getting into pit road. I know pit road is such a tricky spot at times. I know in real life, you know, hey, don't hit the guys around you because you can cause damage, while in the sim world, if a driver goes down into the pit road box, the actual box on the far left, your car goes invisible. So some guys kind of react a little bit more aggressive, hoping to see the driver ahead of them is going to be invisible by the time you catch up, and not the case, as the field has been given the option of the choose. That's going to be the next thing coming up, as Richard Wolsifer going to be the lead driver after pit stops completing, and currently the highest, one of the higher mover uppers of the night, up 30 positions from where he qualified after doing the duels. And Zach, not a bad spot to be for the 56 North 17, who were a little bit involved with the wreck. But I gotta say, Richard came out of that incident pretty clean, even with giving a hard bump to the drivers ahead of him during that last wreck.
It really did. Yeah, I've been looking over a lot of these cars, and a lot of them who were, you know, had some bumps and bruises there have completely been fixed, and they're all ready to go. So we'll see how this all shakes up. I mean, Cedric Hunter was spun around the front of the field. He was probably thinking, well, my race is probably done. But nope, it all worked out for him, as here they come this time for the choose.
For the choose, and it looks like it is the inside row for the 56. Majority of the rest of the field going to go to the outside, and there's the split. As your one to go, presented by Freaky Fast Broadcasting. There's also a good gaggle of drivers that left pit road late, as they were trying to get as much repairs done as possible, as well as the 33 Benz coming in with a late pit stop to top off on fuel, get a little bit of repairs, as the rest of the field about to get rolling here. I know we don't have a graphic for this. There was kind of a with all the holidays and also storms that were going on, we weren't able to get all of our graphics set up for tonight, and also with the LCQ kind of threw us off. But Zach, this season we certainly have a lot of races to watch out for. Here is the schedule for the field to watch out heading in. We've got ourselves tonight at Daytona. Next week we head to Auto Club, then Bristol, going to be race number 3. We then head to the Dakota Short Course. It's going to be a fun one, and they cut up half of the track. Then we head to Michigan, Las Vegas, Richmond, Chicagoland, Milwaukee. The fun, interesting European track is Spa, Nashville Superspeedway, Talladega, Rockingham, Charlotte, New Hampshire, Road America, Dover, and then we finish off the season at Homestead. There's some tracks that I'm excited about. There's tracks that I have no idea what we're going to see, and there's others where I cannot believe Bristol is our 3rd race of the season.
That one's going to be fun. I can tell you that much. It is going to be wild. And Coda's short, too. That should be an interesting one with that shorter layout. Of course, we've seen NASCAR go to it, so that'll be wild. But I think there's some other good tracks. I'd love to see Spa on there. I think Spa, one of the most iconic tracks in the world, of course, and I think that'll be a spectacle.
It certainly is. As well, Auto Club Michigan, Las Vegas, Chicagoland, Nashville Superspeedway, Charlotte, and Homestead. We're going to be running 110% horsepower. We're adding a little bit of juice at those tracks as we are back to Green Flag Racing. Less than 40 laps to go. It's crunch time. It's time to get yourself up front as Richard Wolfsburg as well as Chris Stitz lead us down into turn number 1.
Great start from the bottom lane. You see Alan Elwood in the 9 machine. He is all glued to the back bumper of the 56, but here comes the help to the top. It's the 3 of Thomas Green. He's giving the shove to the 17 of Chris Stitz, and down the back straightaway, that outside line is moving strong, as he also got the likes of Martin Morales there in his Team Watson racing machine.
Drivers are looking for their chances to move forward. Thomas Walter, Jesse Thornock, Ryan Bird now into the mix. Talk about drivers that are outside of the top 10. When will they make their emergence forward? We're starting to see it now as well. You can throw in the names of going to be Clayton Montgomery, Samuel Garcia, Alex Fuller. Guys we knew were going to get up front and challenge at some point are now in the mix. And all the guys that were once leading this race, they're stuck in the middle of the pack. They've got to find a way to force 3 wide, which, Zach, is signs of cautions a brewing. You got Stovall on the inner groove. You also got Cedric Hunter, who's involved with that last wreck. They're trying to work both lanes to find an opening to go forward, but you're stalling out right now as Chris Stitz leading the way on the outside.
We've saw all night, once it gets 3 wide, the action starts to pick up as the lanes start to split and wobble, as it's Presley Sora leading the way in the 09. He's got the 18 of Renner there on his back end trying to push him forward, but we've seen tonight 3 wide. It's led to airy moments, and that's what's led to some of these big incidents.
That's one of the drivers really haven't talked about here tonight. 81 of Austin Halsey in 22nd position on the inside, as right around that starting position of the guys going 3 wide. And you got to be careful with Presley Sora leading the charge. He has been blinking a lot more consistently here in the second half. You got to be careful of that, as well as the 32 of Tanner Johnson, Armadilla's owner and driver on the inside, trying to push Austin Halsey forward as they're just trying to survive as well, with Trent Jump just ahead. The survival pack, the drivers in the back that recognize it's not just the time to push forward just yet. We still might have a couple of more cautions underneath us.
Definitely could have a few more for sure. And Presley Sora blinking continues, and like you said, being aggressive with that kind of blinking issue can lead to some problems for sure as we ride on board with Tanner D. Johnson, one of the Armadillo cars here, right in the middle of this field. You see he'll be beside the likes of Ali Fonseca, as this is around that 27th position. So a little bit of a stack up ahead of him. Got to check up, and luckily everybody doing a good job so far.
Doing a great job just surviving at this moment in time, as everyone trying to find their footing, find your partner, find your team to move forward with. As seeing going to be Mark Morales dropping down low, trying to lead that inside pack. It's going to allow more drivers on the outside have their way to go forward. Here's the 47 rookie of Dalton Hayes. Dalton had a very rough duels and clash last week. He was just being pushed around, as you're seeing a couple of drivers jostling off the exit of turn number 4, but the 47 was one of those drivers that just could not find his right footing. He kept on getting into the outside wall and was pushed up there. But currently right inside of the top 10 here late. Good spot to be, but you got to be careful not to get swamped and pushed around, as the 47 will also have the 39 of Zachary Wake, another rookie, working with one another on the outer groove.
Great to see some new rookies up here trying to make their name here at the Trinity Racing League, but it's going to be still a long way to go here at Daytona before we'll see who has put themselves in the rafter, so to say, here to end or start season 3. As we ride on board with Wake, they are starting to heat up. It's Jarrett Talmadge in the 27. He's starting to make moves and come through the middle of the field.
I mean, it is everyone trying to find a way to go. I think it's getting a little nerve-wracking in the middle, as the 03 of Clint Cox showing his hand that he does not want to be a passive driver anymore, as he'll drop to the middle to be pushed by Jarrett Talmadge. That was looking like he wanted to take off and go. Talmadge, Yingling, trying to make their way forward together. And, you know, Zach, it's fun to see these drivers that have raced around one another for years now for some, and how they have figured out each other's approaches coming to the end of these races. Mar Morales gets a bad bump from Thornock. He gets pushed to the inside. The whole entire inside row backs off. And no Talmadge, Stamper, and there's the next wreck as a big one strikes, as everyone piling in from about 10th on back.
Oh, no, that is a huge one. There's multiple cars. We have race, in my opinion, race-ending damage with this one, and this will be the most catastrophic wreck we've had of the night, as I think there's going to be a little contact between the 67 of Larry Yingling and the 03 of Clinton Cox here as we come to 3.
It's just all the drivers squeezing in, trying to work with one another, but not going to be the case. Required damage for Thomas Walter, Chris Stamper, as well as Jarrett Talmadge. You can also join Vincent Sora into that mix, and Samuel S. Garcia with required damage. Black flag was given to Joshua Stovall as everyone just scatters into the grass and hoping to get no more contact. Here's what happened to the 77 machine in front of him.
It's tough to see here for a lot of these drivers who are involved in this. I mean, again, the vision, we talk about it. It's so tough to see up ahead of you. You're really, like a lot of times relying on even just your teammates who maybe are farther ahead to give you a call out if something happened. You see the smoke there, you dive left, you can try to get slowed down, but look, where do you go in this incident? It is just pretty much a thing that you have to almost predict before it even happens.
And in the grass, scooting on through. Let's see what the penalty, if it's going to get removed or not, for Joshua Stovall. You know, one thing that we haven't talked about here this evening is also the incident limits that these drivers have. There is no unlimited incidents that you can grab on. There is a limit on the amount of contact you can make with other drivers, the wall, and going through the grass. You can get a drive-through penalty with having over 17 incident points, and if you get up to 25 incident points, you are disqualified from the race. So I know Stovall's been close to a couple of these wrecks. I'm curious if that's potentially what he was given, was a drive-through penalty for too many incident points.
It's very possible that that's what it was. I don't really see anything else it would be for. Of course, because it is a black flag, it's not, you know, no meatball or anything like that. So we'll see if it gets cleared, if we can get maybe a later call on that. But right now, a lot of people in pit road here after a major incident here in Daytona.
As the field comes into pit road, going to be getting service done with having over 40-plus drivers. A couple of drivers have to be utilizing the same stalls, as Tanner Johnson going to be leaving where our pole sitter was getting service done. But it's Chris Stitz who's going to be the lead driver, who did not head into pit road. Top 9 deciding to stay out, which, I mean, Zach, based off how we've seen the numbers, as long as we don't go to overtime, I like this call. You keep yourself up front. You had the track position. We've seen having these pace laps are able to save fuel. I like this call, but if we do have overtime, that's when I'm concerned for our top 9 that did not top off during this caution that we have right now.
Yeah, that's what's kind of outlaying in my head for sure. Is like, man, what would be the situation here if we did go green and we get a late yellow for these guys? Because it is right on the edge. Of course, they've went 9 laps on their stint so far. We're under 30 to go here, so I think it does put them in the realm of easily making it to the end if we stay green. But like you said, Sam, if we get some extra overtimes here and extend the distance, that is where the concern will be for sure for this group who's stayed out. The other drivers, no concern from them. They're good to go all the way to the end with extra distance.
I want to give a big thank you to our white flag sponsor of Team Watson Racing Setups. We'll head on over to Team Watson Racing Setups today if you're looking to place yourself with great speed, whether it's speed or vibes. We've got what you're looking for. So come join the wild side of setups today with utilizing Team Watson Setups today, using also the promo code of Watts Spin 39. Get 10% off. That's WATSPIN number 39 for Watts Spin 39 for 10% off at checkouts. As drivers are having their chews, having their picks, and it's Dalton Hayes. They'll be on the front row, taking the inside with Clint Cox with himself and Zach. I mean, the way we've been seeing these chooses, it feels like the outside would probably be the better place to put yourself, but with the aggressive moves going up and down, I feel like any lane up front is dangerous if you don't have at least 1 or 2 other guys you can trust to be around.
No, for sure. We've seen, especially tonight, if you don't really have people you can trust around you, you could be, you know, in the perfect position, and next thing you know, they're going, you know, far left of you or far right of you to go around you, and you're out to dry by yourself, and that's going to put yourself in a very tough situation.
Still in pit road is still quite a gaggle of drivers. Samuel S. Garcia, blown engine, his night is done. Blown engine for Vincent Sora. Still in pit road getting repairs done is Trevor Benz. Stephen Clapp is out on track. Benz is leaving his pit box currently. Jarrett Talmadge still sits in pit road. He looks to have a blown engine. Stamper is still in pit road with acquired damage, as well as Thomas Walter. Joshua Sawyer is still out on track, 6 laps down, so that could be a massive gain for the 19 based off the wreck that we just had. Rest of the field, less than 30 laps to go, and it will be Chris Ditz, Dalton Hayes, Thomas Green, Clint Cox going to be your top 4. Having out Alex Fuller, Cedric Hunter, Mark Morales, Zachary Wake, Richard Wolsifer, and Tanner D. Johnson, your top 10. Take fuel, take tires, take your options, but it's down to who can finish. The leading at the checker will take the victory for the Hot Lap Designs. 250 here tonight into the restart zone, and we are green once again for race 1 of the Trinity Racing League Season 3. It's the outside row with the huge push of Chris Ditz, Thomas Green that get it rolling, and everyone else trying to get up there as well.
Wow, that inside line just disappears here before we already get into turn 1. And it is just the top side for the time being as it's Martin Morales, that first car on the bottom, dropping all the way back here to the likes of Tanner D. Johnson for the help. So we'll see who else jumps out, but it looks like it will be the 03 of Clinton Cox. He says, I don't want to ride in line. I'm going to be the first one to leave, but I think here, unfortunately for him, he's going to find out he needs the help.
Need just a little bit of help. Yes, you can side draft and maybe you can hold position, but if you want to go forward and stay where you're at for multiple laps, you've got to get the help, and that's where we're seeing the 32 of Tanner D. Johnson from Armadillos trying to help out, move forward, and serving their drive-through penalty will be Nick Crawford as well as Joshua Stovall into pit road, or the both of them, as well as Christopher Norris going to pit road, drive-through for the 3 of them, and hope to stay on the lead lap just in case a late caution comes out, where drivers are starting to get a little bit antsy in the middle of the pack, back in 13th and 14th position.
Definitely, our drivers are for sure getting antsy, Sam. As we've seen, 3 wide has led to multiple things happening here tonight, but you can see that's the 9 Alan J. Elwood right in the middle of this group. He's been right there in the mix a lot tonight up front for a few moments, but look at Clint Cox jumping up to the top as his Wolsifer up at the wall on the outside line.
Got loose right there for the 56 with all that air moving. Just snapped randomly. Big save for Wolsifer on that outer groove, but starting to see the drivers are willing to be aggressive in the early going. A lot of them knocked out of this race, so now you got to find your new allies if you're Jackson Anderson. Also, if you were in a lot of wrecks, you've had time now to get some of these repairs, as Tom, it looks like going to be Jesse Thornick on the outside. Big loss for the 14 as he is going backwards very quickly. He got into the wall and lost over about 5 miles per hour compared to the rest of the field around him, and luckily we continue to race on. But Zach, that inside row is moving, and it's a lot of assistance of drivers that you can look through the field that you know are going to make some moves. I'm looking at the 99 of Michael Miller right behind Jackson Ader. Oh no, there they go, and it's the 91 of Mark Morales as well as Wolsifer, and Clapper might be doing the final blow for his race as well, the 91, as Morales trying to get rolling again.
And it was Morales, the first one kind of going around in this, and it was, I think, him and the 91 getting up into the wall in the entry, and from there it kind of caused a little bit of an accordion effect where Wolsifer couldn't stay out of, making the contact with him, and we see a big incident here once again. But we'll see down the back straightaway, the 91 a little bit faded to the left here. He's going to catch up to this front group and just get a little too high. It's very easy to do that sometimes and just have that happen. It slows him down, gets the bump from the 56, and unfortunately Wolsifer comes back in for a few more, and that's what finally finishes off the 91 is there. It's the big hit for Clapp.
And Joshua Kanata just coming to a halt on the outside, watching everyone wreck in front of him as everyone else trying to make their footings, but more drivers will drive through penalties. Presley Sora, Trent Jump, Richard Wolsifer now going to be a part of the grouping of drivers that have drive-through penalties, and with the timing of this caution, Stovall, Crawford, Norris, they're back with the lead pack as they stayed on the lead lap.
That they are, that helped that grouping for sure that had those penalties to get, stay on that lead lap, and we'll see how they can work their way back up. But now the other 3, like you said, Sora, Jump, and Wolsifer, all 3 going to have to come to pit road here into this next green flag run and do at least a drive through here, and they're going to need a quick yellow if they want to stay on that lead lap.
As the field is questioning, do you pit if you haven't already? Those drivers that pitted 14 laps ago, I mean, there's still an option to come in and top off, but with having these cautions allows them to save just a little bit more. But if you're involved with a wreck, here's your time to get repairs done and to assess how bad your damage is as the field continues going. You know, Zach, I want to go back to talk about the schedule as we're under pacing here. More than just 5 races are going to have that extra horsepower added to them. 110% horsepower. iRacing's given the ability to add horsepower to vehicles on this simulator. So we really enjoy that from iRacing. And, you know, there was a lot of testing in the preseason for this, but what's your thoughts on the fact that Auto Club, Michigan, Las Vegas, Chicagoland, Nashville Superspeedway, Charlotte, and Homestead, got to be those tracks, a lot of 1.5 mile and bigger tracks. We got that extra speed.
I'm a big fan of it. You know, it's really cool. iRacing has kind of allowed us to, you know, kind of tinker with the cars a little bit, so to say. You know, mess with the parameters and do that. And I can tell you, 10% of horsepower, I mean, that's a ton. I mean, you know, for 100 horsepower, that's 10 horsepower. So, and we got much more than that. So these cars usually are right around the 700 mark. So I'd imagine that we gained about another 70 horsepower from, you know, that 10% added. And that will be definitely a huge benefit, I think, to the drivers who like these cars sliding around. I think it's going to be very much more about managing the rear tires, and I think that's going to make some of the racing much more, you know, on the edge, so to say. So I'm excited to see how it works out, and definitely a cool thing Trinity is implemented for this season.
Giving it a chance of putting it in the driver's hands. How do you want to finish out this season? Here's Chris Stitz, won the opening race. That was the last time he's in victory lane for the Trinity Racing League, January 11th of 2026. It's been a couple of months since the 17 was back in victory lane. His other win was at Auto Club during season 1. After multiple races where the 17 thought he was going to get his first win in season 1. It took a while, but he's got 2 career wins so far, hoping to grab another one here tonight, as it will be close to 20 laps to go when we go green again. Zach, this is the moments where you dread the last couple of cautions, but man, for Richard Wolfsburg, Presley Sora, Trenton Jump, that are going to have drive-through penalties, this is going to be interesting for the 3 of them on how you react, knowing at least you got 3 other partners in crime that you get to draft with after you serve your penalty.
That's huge. You know, that allows them, buys them time. You know, they might still have the likes of going a lap down, so to say, just due to the, you know, being so little amount of cars, but it buys them more time and allows, you know, for something to happen as, oh, we got a car going through the grass. I don't know if that was on Seika in the 24, but I think he had a little bit of a ride off into the grass, as might be doing it once again, maybe just bored.
Maybe you don't want to grab too many of those for yourself, as the drivers, again, those incident points can collect very quickly. The 24 has had a couple of moments that don't want to be grabbing any more incidences. As yeah, it looks like he's just a little bit bored. But also, Fonseca did have the monitor go dark on him earlier in the race, so hope maybe that's not the case that's going on for himself. But the rest of the field stacked up, ready to go back to green flag racing. It will be 22 laps to go when we go green again. And we appreciate everyone that is out there in chat. Thank you so much. For those that are chatting, I see you, Tyler, out there in chat. You and your bits of making fun of In and Out. I see you. And everyone else rooting for your favorite drivers, teams. I know it's been a rough one for a couple of drivers. We are lost over 8 drivers so far here tonight due to being involved with big wrecks. But that means that we still have over 30 plus that are still on the lead lap with a chance for victory. A couple are going to have drive-through penalties they're going to have to serve. We'll see how well they can get those penalties out of the way. As the field is getting set, they're getting ready. Pace car is off, and it's time for the Hot Lap Designs 250 to get back underway. Here we go as we're back to green flag racing.
Interesting things going on there. I think a few more drivers getting a few black flags, of course, from the choose here is going to give it to them, but I think a few others with going through the grass have given themselves incidents to get the black flag. So we'll see what the drive-through is like here. Maybe there'll be more than 3 this time, Sam.
There might be a field. We'll see how things want to tackle and go for themselves, because you will have to serve those penalties even with the clearance that's given out. We'll see how Thomas Green, also Ethan Smith, are going to be tackling up front, as bobbing and weaving and not waiting for anyone. Are these moves as Thomas Green as well as Clint Cox back and forth? These 2 drivers had some moments last season for season 2. Clint Cox, one of the drivers that was very aggressive, and kind of the field was trying to figure out how to rally to get around him at times, but here we go. Field is calling over the radio, pitting, and it is a full gaggle that do not want to just let one driver be on their own. It is a cluster that decides, let's pit together, let's stay on the lead lap, and hope there's a caution later on.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I'm kind of mind blown seeing some of these guys pull through the grass and give themselves in. I don't know if they thought maybe, hey, I'm close to it, I'll get it out of the way, but that is just, I think, a risk that is really interesting to take. So we'll see. It's a big group of them that's coming off now, but definitely I think some of those drivers may be making a big mistake.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to add incident points because just one big wreck, you can grab 8 to 12 incident points from just making contact with another driver who wrecks on their own. I mean, there is some major chances of big loss of times, but the front pack, they are on full charge. Top 20 still in this group. And even with doing the drive-through, I mean, there's a chance that this race could stay clean and green to the very end as Thomas Green leads the way.
Thomas Green with a big block there on Clinton Cox to get back up in front of that group. But here comes the 00. Ethan Smith, we haven't seen him up front in the lead all day long. He wants his first sniff of the front.
And Ethan Smith trying to get back to the heyday speed that he once had. One of the drivers that was contending up front. Top 5 speed back in our truck series of the ISRC days. And they transitioned over to the Trinity Racing League. And this O'Reilly's car has not treated Ethan as well as maybe you would hope for. But this 00 looking strong right now. One of the better pushers of the evening. And he's now going to lead this inside row with Alex Fuller in the 45, who's hoping that victory lane for the rookie is calling his name this evening.
That would be a great time for him to put himself in victory lane to start his career here at Trinity. What a scene that would be. Is now Green looks to cover off the bottom lane. He drops down in front of the 00 of Ethan Smith, and it looks like a great job so far from Thomas Green of controlling the two lines and a big shove down the back straightaway. He's going to wiggle left to right, but he keeps it straight for the time being. Is now that third car in line, Fuller getting a big shove from the 25 of Reed.
And Fuller now will move to the outside. Now ducks back low, trying to play a little bit of mind games. There's a big wiggle and wake it others. Oh boy, contact made for the back half of the lead group. And that is everyone that was just hoping to survive to the end of the race out of this thing. And on Seika, Hunter, Miller, and all those that pitted, that was the caution they were waiting for.
That's going to bail them out for sure on that situation. But man, oh man, Sam, this is going to be a tough situation once again for drivers racing hard back here. But it's just a common thing that happens at these super speedways. You have these little moves being made, and it's just two drivers going for the same spot. A lot of times, or just one driver getting a little aggressive with the bump drafting. And right here, I think a little bump there got the 55 a little sideways, but it's just the stack up there that really caused the contact down low.
That was a bizarre one. Of the 23 just came back up the track and just hooked himself right into the field. As seeing one of the drivers making it through the LCQ. Going to see the 23. That's Ryan Bush. That's going to be trying to find his way to stay low. And then just comes up off the nose of the 49 and just wiggle, 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 and then up to the nose, and everyone's along for the ride.
I see the 14 involved, the Thornock. There's the 16 of Kanata. There's also the 32 up into that Tyler D. Johnson, and just heavy. I mean, look at the head-on collision there between those two, and that is just tough for everybody. You see the drivers from behind trying to get slowed down for it, but this is what happens at Daytona, man. Just those small moves like that. You know, the 23 comes up the racetrack, the 49's there. You know, there's nowhere for the 23 to go up, and that's just going to cause the collision of him turning himself across.
And that is going to be causing the field to make the decision, do you pit or not? Here's your race recap. If you're just joining with us, we've had a total of 5 cautions so far. Lead changes, well, we got quite a few. We've had a total of 26 lead changes, 12 different leaders. Majority of the race has been under green flag conditions, but Zach, this has been a fun race to call, even with some of these big wrecks. I know the field most likely was hoping that we wouldn't be seeing these many of wrecks to be piling up, but it's kind of the nature with this car, and also the nature of the aggressive pushing action that drivers have been going after, of the big moves, a lot of bad pushes. It's culminated to this, where we've only got ourselves about 30 drivers on the lead lap, if we're going to even have that when we go green again.
That's exactly right. This car is on the more difficult side of when it comes to these, you know, plate tracks and super speedways, in my opinion. It becomes a car that gets very upset by pushes. You know, it is a car that wiggles, moves all around as you're getting shoved. And when you're 3 wide here at Daytona, especially, because I think I need to bring that up, Daytona is its own beast in itself, kind of similar in the same intensity to Atlanta with being 3 wide. You know, Atlanta definitely a little bit more even intense, but I'd say Daytona is a close second to that, because 3 wide here, not the most room, because you go to Talladega and really almost, you know, running 4 wide at Talladega feels easier than running 3 wide here sometimes. Just one of the weird things about Daytona, just always a place you feel a little bit more crowded by your racing competition, and it leads to definitely those moments where when these cars get upset, you're side by side, all it takes is one movement to the left or to the right too much, and you're having a massive pile up because everybody's stacked on top of one another.
Well, drivers are about to get ready for the choose on where they're going to be placing themselves. And after the choose is completed, I actually kind of want to pull up one of those drivers we saw make the pit stop under our green flag conditions of Richard Wolsifer, and get his thoughts on pitting as a group and what was going through his mind in that scenario. I know he had the drive-through penalty that he had to serve, but curious on his thoughts on this running as the field is about to make the choose with 16, going to be 15 laps to go when we go green. But here we go, Zach. Where do you want to go? Thomas Green, Ethan Smith going to be the first people to make their decision, and it's go high for the both of them.
I like that call. The high side has been strong all night long, and I think Green, he knows he wants to be able to control this field. He was doing a good job of doing that before, but this will be his opportunity to do it once again.
Well, let's get our thoughts from the 56 driver, Richard Wolsifer, who's going to be back in 18th position. Richard, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Yeah, you were part of the group that had to make a pit stop for green flag drive-through. Man, how does this feel knowing you got the caution you needed?
Yeah, end of the race, I mean, it's going to get a little chaotic, so it was kind of a blessing in disguise at this point of the race. So kind of were able to stay out of that final wreck there, and we kept the car straight and didn't get lapped down. So, I mean, here we are back up in the top 20 with a chance to potentially get up there and go for a win.
Tell you, Richard and Zach up here in the booth also, man. Great racing out here tonight. It's been wild from everybody around. How's the handling of these race cars? We've seen a lot of guys fighting them. You know, I've seen some understeer moments. I've even seen some oversteer moments. So how has it been out there?
It's definitely been both ways, honestly. Like, sometimes you'll get the car really tight and just doesn't want to turn coming out of the turns. But then, like, going into the turns, the car gets really light, and the step back in wants to step out. So it's a lot to handle. Definitely different from the next-gen cars that stick to the track. So it's a lot of fun. It definitely puts a new aspect of racing at Daytona.
Well, Richard, it looks like it is a handful and a lot of fun out there, but we're going to let you back to your team radio, and good luck on this upcoming restart.
Thanks, Sam.
Well, that will be Richard Wolsifer, again, part of 6'5 Motorsports. We'll see if he gets a full team with him. He came under his own banner for this first season for him here for season 3. We'll see how the rookie can retaliate after having the drive-through penalty. A lot of guys now, Zach, got to be concerned. You're close on incident points. Some might have drive-through penalties they've already served. That means they are just 1, maybe 2 wrecks away from being disqualified, while others, we're just a few laps away from victory lane as green flag is back out for the Hot Lap Designs 250 for the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Arts Production. Thomas Green, Ethan Smith looking good on the outside row as everyone else searching where they want to place themselves.
Definitely want to search to put yourself in the best opportunity possible. And Stitz on the bottom of the 17, you see the little man down there. He's going to be searching for some help. It's going to be a little bit of time as Nick Crawford will be coming up to his back over the outside line, ganging up on the bottom.
The inside needing to find just a little bit of an opening to work with, but currently it is Thomas Green looking good for himself. Where can you go as drivers over the radio just hoping that they can work with one another, because it looks to be the outside is the strong place, it's the strongest place to be for the end runnings of these final 14 laps.
Everybody fighting for that positioning, Sam, and they know they want to be up near at least the top 5 of this field when it comes down to the end, to have an opportunity, have that chance to bounce to a line, maybe lead up to that top group. But here it is, 3 wide in the middle of that group. I think that's going to be the 99. Michael Miller, the first one, getting a little bit aggressive farther back. He wants to make something happen.
And two drivers that might latch on with that 99 to watch out for. Got to be the 09 of Presley Sora and the 7 of Cedric Hunter. They might be the two that are willing to push forward. Presley already there. The 09 has been one of the main drivers of note. Been the engine that's willing to push forward as Austin Halsey, a big slide for the 81 Mountain Dew machine on the outer groove. He's got to hold on tight as it's 2x2 all the way through until he gets off the corner. Now the drivers are looking for opportunities to go 3 wide, but it's just hard to make passes right now, Zach. 14, make it 13 laps to go. I mean, we know these final 10 laps are going to be critical, but it's really the final 5 that are going to be where you can maximize the most momentum unless the wall's already made.
That's right, Sam. You got to really be able to be up there in the front half, and right now there's some 3 wide action in that second group of this front. They're trying to push forward and put themselves in spots that they haven't been all night, and it's going to be a stack up as there's cars beating and banging, dooring each other off into 3.
And is going to be looking for the inside is where you're comfortable. You hope that you avoid the wrecks and any type of issues. Halsey, the only driver on that 3rd lane on the outside, just nowhere really to go. There is another pack that is 20th, 21st, 22nd, and 23rd that are just watching the front pack run away. But here's a sense of what it's like in the middle. There's really no safety net when you're that middle driver packed in. There's a guy to your left, there's a guy to your right, and you're just hoping you move forward as Stovall. Hoping to see this 77 go forward, but Zach, with them being 3 wide, they're actually losing touch to the lead pack that's pulling away.
That's exactly right, Sam. I was just about to say that. They look good racing right now, but I tell you what they're doing is going way slower than that front group as Renner now drops down. That's going to break up that middle lane, and Stovall will lose his draft up ahead, and now it's going to hurt those top 2 drivers on the outside of Halsey and Stovall as they make contact as they try to all get back single filed up, because I think that's the best bet for them to get caught back up, because again, that front group was running away.
And Clint Cox just might have made a move that could potentially be a move that he uses later on in the race. He went from the inside yellow line all the way up to the wall to get around Thomas Green. And Green backs out of that scenario, said, you know what, I don't want any part of that. Fall back into 3rd place is Alan Elwood, the 9 machine. He was involved with earlier incidences, has gotten the repairs done, and now it's the 9's time to try to shine up front. But Thomas Green, Stitz, some drivers that have been core Trinity Racing League drivers that have raced even during the ISRC days, now trying to work an alliance on the outside groove.
Alan J. Elwood there, he was wrecked into that dual race, had to qualify in here tonight, was the fastest of those LCQ drivers, and he is looking for an opportunity here for a victory in his Trinity debut, and be what a night that would be for him in the 9 machine, as he is put himself in a great position here with the back of the 03 right ahead of him.
And the 9's teammate, that's the one of Clayton Montgomery, who was involved with earlier incidents a few cautions ago. The one is going to be just 2 cars behind on the inside. Richard Wolfsburg, who we were just talking with right before we went green, he's also on the inside. And fun note, the apron is free game. There is no double yellow line rule here in Trinity. It's just if you come up after going down to the apron and you cause a wreck, you'll get penalized. So you better hope that that move's clean.
You definitely want to make sure that move is clean. And right now, Thomas Green leading that outside lane. Clint Cox and the 03 on the bottom, leading the bottom still for the time being. But it's the 47 of Dalton Hayes making the move up the middle. He wants to get aggressive here and try to make a move here and get his first victory at Trinity.
Dalton Hayes as Ethan Smith, a little bit of blinking on the outside as they go 3 wide, but there's 47 trying to rebrand himself. Last week was not a great showing for this 47 team. He was just caught up in every wreck, every possible way that you could just get out of control he was dealing with. But here tonight, late in the Hot Lap Designs 250, showing up, 3rd car on the middle groove. He's trying to be the lead driver to get past Stitz, get by Green as Clint Cox, big slide for the 09 on the inside, the 03 on the inside.
The energy is starting to move in this pack. The 3 wide action is happening. New drivers, new names coming up into the front. Is now the 47 goes across the nose of the 99, and they're wrecking, but we're staying green here as they just kept it straight.
They're back up the track, more involved, and they're now coming to a halt on the apron. There's the caution, and it was just a never-ending slide and contact. And Christopher Norris's race looks to be over and done.
Christopher Norris, so tough for him there to take that heavy hit, like you said, and it's looking like a lot of damage for him. So we'll see how he's able to get that car fixed up. But let's check this out. It's the 47 of Dalton Hayes in that middle lane there, coming down the front straightaway. He's going to have that 99, that red and white car, that fourth or fifth car on the outside line there behind the yellow one on the outside of the 47 here, and a little bit of the 47 just kind of coming up. I don't know if he thought it was going to be clear. He looked, he was trying to get up into that lane, but he just was not clear at all.
And that's kind of similar to what happened a lot with the 47 last week during the duels, and that's why I was a little concerned with him being in the middle. And Norris making contact, then getting into Trent Jump, and Jump did collect, require damage. The wheel well was hit, and that is most likely a race done for the 46 team. Trent Jump and Armadillos trying to make their run here tonight to look like a good return to Monday Night Racing. Doesn't look to be the chance, as Norris did everything right. Drops down low, but there's no way to escape that. You practically had to go to the grass if you wanted to completely avoid that 47.
And at that speed, just wasn't possible for that for sure to happen. So tough for that 38 team, just getting caught out there by the wreck coming down the track. But that is super speedway racing right there for you. Sometimes you just can't escape that disaster. But what this is set up, though, is a mad dash to the end of this race. So it's going to be a very, very interesting one, because again, when you have these restarts, it takes almost a lap or so to get up to speed, and really that's when the moves start to really translate and get big energy. So look for big things to happen once that first lap gets complete.
And now, Zach, I know we had some pretty long green flag runs. You know, the driver that they kept on passing, Stephen Clapp, he's 2 laps down. He also might be given the lucky dog here. The 88 could be 1 lap down, going back to green flag racing. He's back in 31st position, but the relentless never give up from the 88 team. He's about to go back to 1 lap down.
That is awesome to see for him, man. It just shows you just fighting, you know, just to continue to put as many laps together as possible. You can use a lot from that. So that is awesome to see for the 88 team, but you never know, could salvage something very, very strong out of this with how sometimes these super speedways play out. We know those last laps, there can be carnage.
And required damage flag for Trent Jump has been removed. So now it's just optional damage for the 46, as well as everybody from 20th on back getting damage repairs. And just topping off if you got damage, getting as much as you can get done. You get about a good chunk of your damage repairs done. About a minute to a minute and a half can be completed under pacing. But Zach, with some of these contacts, some of these drivers have probably 8 minutes to 10 minutes of optional damage that iRacing allows you to try to work with. So that's a lot that some of these guys are dealing with and just hoping to still be at max speed.
That's for sure. And, you know, there was also some guys that were involved, you know, 3-4 incidents ago that were slowly each lap or each caution, you know, kind of working on their cars that maybe have got them in better conditions, so to say, now. And you never know, if you get that right fix up on that car, sometimes these super speedways, you're right back in the mix and able to stay in the draft. Anything is possible. So we'll see how that works, because I know we got a bunch of cars still waiting out there getting some damage repairs, as we'll be coming to the choose this time here as Thomas Green leads the way.
It will be a 4 laps to go window when we go back to green flag racing, but the choose, this is your critical time. Does the 3 go high? Do they go low? Where does Stitz want to place himself? Are there any alliances that have been made? I know that's always a fun behind the scenes games, as Stitz and Green have been pretty much a tag team duo up front working together, and they continue to stay in line. Looks like for Clint Cox, he will stay low, so the 03 will be lined up with the 3 machine as your front row on this upcoming restart. But Zach, this is at 4 laps to go. If we get a quick caution, we're going to overtime. There's always, you know, overtime always seems to be calling for the first race of the season. But if there is no overtime, where would you want to be placed on this restart?
I think you want to be on the outside here again, because we've seen on the restarts especially, like that bottom will fight back, but it's really the first lap getting up the speed. That outside especially just seems like, with the help of Thomas Green, you know, starting the field up there. Chris Stitz has been a good pusher also. It's really, they've launched well up there, and it's been always that bottom line that's kind of been floundering, dropping back. But this will be the true test here, I think, because again, it's down the crunch time here. Everybody's pushing, so I don't think there's going to be like no give and take here on the bottom. I think everybody's going to be pushing full bore, but I just think being up top on this start give you an advantage to try to maybe have the opportunity to make something later happen on the bottom.
Some stories you never know when you're going to be returning back to an area. Sometimes you got to leave to grow in some ways. Trinity grew when we had to step away from calling for season 2. It was a pleasure to see so many drivers return back, some making their debut races, some drivers return back because we were going to be broadcasting season 3. And it has been a pleasure to see all these collective drivers throughout the duels, throughout qualifying, throughout the last chance qualifiers to set up for 42 drivers to race for 100 laps. Do we need extra time or will we finish under regulation? It's time to see. It's potentially the final restart of the race here for the Hot Lap Designs 250, the beginning of season 3. Wow, will it conclude for race number 1 as Thomas Green, Chris Stitz are back to racing up front. They take a fantastic launch on the outside, and Clay Cox just has to watch them blast on forward.
Great start again from that outside line, but let's see, the inside line is formed up pretty well with the first and second car, and then the third and fourth are starting to get momentum, but will they drop low? Yes, they will. Stitz and Green drop to the bottom side, but it's Ethan Smith leading the top. Will they go back to the top to swing up to block it, or will they feel like the bottom is the best way to go?
And drivers are starting to body slam now, but going 3 wide as Alex Fuller now going to go to the outside with going to be seeing Cody Reed. Cody Reed trying to work his way forward. At 25, looked very strong in the early going, but Thomas Green, last season's champion, trying to get another win to close in on the most all-time winningest driver award in the Trinity Racing League. Across the line, it's 3 to go. It's the 0-3 in the 3, side by side. Fuller going to be tossed up to the outside wall, trying to continue with his momentum as they're 3 wide. Here we go, Zach. The numbers are lining up. We're sending it down into turn number 2.
The bottom is sending it for sure. They got great pushing right now. The 9 is shoving the 0-3 out to a good lead here, but it's the 18 of Renner, the third car on the bottom side. He's got the 1 of Clayton Montgomery. Who's going to help who? That's going to be the question as we come down to the end. We know the 9 and the 1 are teammates, but will they be able to get stacked up together? Because right now the inside line's fighting strong.
The 18 of Nicholas Renner, he was the last driver to qualify in from the last chance qualifiers. He was stressing, hoping nobody else would qualify in, and the 18 was the last one. 47th was where he was placed to start the evening off. He'd been caught up in wrecks and now looms in third place with 2 laps to go. But Thomas Green, Chris Stitz, Ethan Smith, they were looking good on the outside, but Zach, they have lost all the momentum. Somehow, the least preferred lane is the one dominating here late.
That it is. Everybody pushing hard. Will they have the temperatures to keep this up, though? I've seen everybody on the bottom be pretty stacked up. Are they overheating is going to be the question. It's going to be a wild dash of the record in the back.
Richard Wolsifer goes around. We're going overtime, and they are trying to give space up front. I was nervous that everyone's going to slow down too quickly, but Richard Wolsifer, heavy front nose damage, and that will send us to overtime.
Oh man, that inside line was doing such a good job of controlling the race. Now it's going to be brought back to caution for another restart, where it's going to stack things up once again, and the choose will be very, very interesting. But let's check out the incident, of course, here on the replay. Like Sam said, it was Richard Wolsifer in this 56 coming up through. There's Alex Fuller up top in the 45, and I think, yeah, the 56 of Wolsifer just looks like kind of comes up the racetrack, at least from that view, and unfortunately turns himself across that 45's nose.
I think some drivers thought that they weren't 3 wide, and Richard was hoping that he was going to be clear. That was a bizarre one to see. And that's not the first time we've seen drivers go up, as we're right on board with Wolsifer. See what those hands were doing. You might be wondering, why is he not fully straight? That's the offset that drivers have in this vehicle, but going low, trying to stay low. But, I mean, that's just a bizarre one. I don't know if that was net code or
Definitely bizarre, Sam. It's one of those ones you'd have to talk to the drivers and really see what they thought. But yeah, we'll be lucky that it wasn't more cars involved for sure here.
As overtime has been given to the drivers, so next time that we go green, it will be a 2-lap shootout. And we have 3 attempts if needed here this evening. And also, looking at the drivers, looking at who's going to get the lucky dog spot. Zach sitting and wait. The 88, Steven Clapp, is expected to get back on the lead lap after being put a lap down multiple times under green flag conditions. The 88, his race is not over just yet.
That's for sure. And again, when these white flag laps happen, if we get to that white and we don't, in this thing under caution, so to say, there's a lot of times that multiple cars don't come back to the line. So if you're far back and a wreck happens, sometimes you can just gather through and pick up 5, 10, 15 spots at most sometimes. So we'll see how it all works out. But right now, I think the focus has got to be, what does Clint Cox, Alan J. Elwood, and Nicholas Renner do here? What is their choose going to be? We saw them work so well together on the bottom. Do we see all 3 of them line back up on the bottom, or does someone take the risk to try to lead that outside line and be the controller of that?
I've got my eyes on the 9 of Alan Elwood and the 1 of Clayton Montgomery. I think they're going to take the opposite of whatever we see Clayton Cox go with. We're going to see those 2 go the opposite way. Elwood Designs, it's just a 2-team group, but I feel like if you can just get yourself and another driver that you trust in line, you can make that lane work, because everyone is going to go forward. I don't think we're going to see what we've seen before of everyone getting in line immediately. It is going to be side by side, and someone further back is going to try to force a 3.
I'd have to agree with you, Sam. I think this restart is going to be a little bit more different with the setup, of course, with things. And I think if you're Alan Elwood and with your teammate is 2 cars behind you, I think you do, like you said, do the opposite of what the leader does. Take your fate into the control of you and your teammate and see how this thing shake out. So Clinton Cox, of course, leading the way now. He is going to be in a sticky situation to hold back this field once we go green.
It certainly is. You look back at the drivers that are outside of the top 10. It's going to be tough for them to build up the momentum to challenge those up front. But some of those drivers to watch out for. Cody Reed, he's going to be in 10th. Austin Halsey, just outside of the top 10 for the 81. Ryan Bird, who was involved with earlier wrecks, he's now up in 12th. Jesse Thornock, last time we had an opener at Daytona was season 1, and Jesse was leading in one of the top 3 lanes. He was hoping to get victory that day. Could he find a little bit of magic here this evening? The 77 of Joshua Stovall in 14th. Michael Miller, very heavily damaged, back in 15th position, but he's trying to find a way forward. And a little bit of games. Drivers making late decisions on where they want to go.
Definitely games all around. That choose always an interesting time and interesting call. I kind of like this too. Montgomery decides to go bottom even though his teammate goes up top, because a Renner following top, he didn't want to put himself another row behind. He goes to the bottom. That's going to give an opportunity maybe for that 9 to slot in front of him at some point. But this makes interesting setup here for everybody. And now Thomas Green, who led that last restart, also, he's going to be 3rd car on the outside line. And also Nick Crawford, 3rd car on that inside row.
I threw out the thought of you want to find your teammate, you want to find your ally, get grouped up with them. I think everyone went the opposite of what their teammate chose. This is the most backwards I've seen a choose be. But hey, it's overtime. It is all about you, yourself, on getting to victory lane, as this is our first attempt at overtime. We have 3 if needed, but this is how overtime works. When we go green, it is going to be 2 laps to go. If we get caution under our first lap, then we will head to overtime attempt number 2. But if the leader takes the white flag, then we will finish this race off, and it is official on whoever crosses the line next will win the race. And the gloves are off. That white flag, there is no caution will be thrown, and we've seen some beating and banging and drivers having a chance further on back. This is it. Could be the final restart of the night. It's been a pleasure to give you the call so far. We are officially in overtime, and what a moment to start out Season 3 for the Hot Lap Designs 250, the first race of the season. 42 drivers attempted, and it's time to see who's taking the victory for the first race of Season 3 of the Trinity Racing League, presented by Larry Arts Production. Clint Cox, Alan Elwood, into the restart zone. Overtime attempt number 1 is underway as the field roars down into turn number 1.
They even start all around, but it's the outside there, the 9. Will that push come from the 18, or will the 1 push the 03 pass for his teammate, or will he kind of lay back here and play rear gunner? But right now, side by side through 1 and 2, it's the bottom side fighting forward here, but I think the top should have a surge off of 2.
I'm really looking at that third to fourth row. When are they going to bounce out to that third lane? Will you move up there? A lot of jostle, a lot of bubbles. Drivers trying to build momentum. And one of those drivers that might bounce up could be Cody Reed in the 25, as well as the 24, Vali Fonseca, who is the fourth driver on the outside, now the second. As it is all Alan Elwood, Nicholas Renner. They find themselves exiting out of turn number 4. Contact back down on the field. They're scattering around 3-4 wide, but we look to the flag stand. It will be your Team Watson Racing setup. White flag. It's Elwood, Renner, rest of the field 2-3 wide, Zach, as we go down into turn number 1.
What will Renner do? He cannot pull off the back bumper of this 9 here too early. If he does,
They tapped him.
it's going to snap him up.
He got loose in the center of the corner. This is giving the momentum. It's going to be Ollie Fonseca the rest of the field, but because of how side-by-side they are, the side draft is keeping him back.
And he lost connection to him. This is what's allowing that group to come from farther back. They're about 5 mile an hour faster right now. Will the run come? Fonseca from the push from the 03 o'clocks. The run is coming. That second group is going to get there.
1/10. They're there. Do you go to the apron? Do you go high? Big block. Contact. Cox. Can he go to the apron? He's trying to get under, but it's Alan Elwood winning the hot lap designs. 250 with everyone scattering behind him.
Wow. Man, oh man, Elwood is thanking those guys he's got to be for the block they threw, because if not, that second group's going around them with the momentum. But it's Elwood. After all the pieces fall in the duel, he had to qualify his way in. He wins here to start season 3.
Alan Elwood from Elwood Designs. So many chances and opportunities, but it's the rookie that gets the victory. He was showing to have speed. The question was he going to find allies that could help him? And the 9 and the 18 did all the hard lifting to stay up front. Just the right move at the end to block. And it's the 9 of Alan Elwood that takes the win. Nicholas Renner, you got to give credit to him. Even with that second pack closing and bearing down, he'll take third. And Clint Cox just a step behind. 6/100ths of a second back. And will finish in second. But the 9 machine looms by himself. He lost his teammate. He needed to find an ally that was nearby, that was willing to work. And he found one, and now victory will call. Enjoy this one, Alan Elwood, as he gets to burn it down. For us up at the booth, though, our show is not over just yet. We've got the post-race show. We'll talk to our top 3. We'll get you ready for next week's race. And we've got many more to talk about. Enjoy this one, Alan, as he grabs his first career win of the Trinity Racing League for the first race of Season 3. We'll be right back after this for the post-race show. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show of the Trinity Racing League presented by Larry Arts Production. Race 1 is in the books for the Hot Lap Designs 250, and we head to Victory Lane to talk to the number 9 machine of Alan Elwood. The Elwood design team needed to get himself up front, and when he did, he stayed there. Alan, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. Congratulations on winning the Hot Lap Designs 250. How are you feeling after this one?
Are you kidding me? I don't even know how I'm here. But man, like the race started off as poorly as it could. I got hooked there in the back. And I thought my race was over. I thought for sure, like, just my luck, it was going to go green for, like, ever, and I was going to get trapped probably a lap down. And so I was kind of just, like, already accepting my fate. And then that caution came out and saved me from going a lap down. And I don't know, I was picking and choosing my way up through the field slowly but surely and, you know, staying out of them wrecks. And next thing you know, you're in the top 5. And working with Clint there in the 03, him and I worked really well to push each other to the front. Next thing you know, we're battling for the win there at the end. It's like, I literally just, like, everything is like a blur. I have no idea how I got here, but hell fucking yeah. Sorry for the language, but I'm stoked.
Definitely got to be stoked for that win, Alan. Congrats, man. That's an awesome way to start the season, especially coming through the LCQ to get into the race. I mean, take us through that last lap, because you and the 18 had gotten so clear of the pack with them, you know, making a lot of contact behind y'all and slowing up. What was going through your mind as you're, like, going through that final lap? Because that had to feel like an eternity with them guys running y'all down there.
Well, yeah, I looked at it, I saw how big of a gap we had, and I'm like, man, the 18, like, all of the credit to him. He gave me a heck of a push there on the last lap. He said he was gonna, he did it. And just, but I was already accepting my fate of second. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to win this race based on he's gonna have a gap. He's gonna pass by me. I can't really do anything. I'm sitting duck. Like, I'm ready for a podium. I'll take my second. That's fine. And then he went to make his move, and here comes the rest of the field. And then I see him get turned, and I'm like, wait, like, I'm actually going to win this race. Like, this is just insane. But like I said, all credit to Nick for getting us out there that big of a lead. Like, that's a testament to him and his ability to push. And that's just, yeah, like, you can't predict something like that to happen. You think you're going to finish second, just the way things are playing out right there. And to actually still be able to win the race is just, I can't even put it into words.
I mean, Alan, it was crazy for us to watch, especially with how big of a gap it was. But, man, this is just the start of the season. How does this feel knowing you're starting off with the win, and now we got the rest of the season ahead of us as we've got ourselves Auto Club, Bristol, and then COTA. These completely 3 different tracks that you got to attempt in front of us on the schedule.
I hope that's a sign of how things will go this season. Yeah, you know, starting off in the Clash and stuff, I couldn't find my way through a clean race. Running some testing with these guys, like, it seemed like every race I was running with them, I was somehow ended up in some sort of disaster. And now hopefully maybe this is a sign of, you know, like you said, making it through the LCQ, just being persistent and hanging in there, and hopefully that's a sign of maybe things to come. Maybe we can grab a couple more wins and fight for a championship. But, you know, taking it one race at a time. But I feel good about my pace on normal tracks. I know a lot of tonight is luck as well as skill, but a lot of it's luck. And but I feel like going into the rest of the season in actual skill tracks, I feel like I have some good shots at maybe getting a couple more wins, hopefully.
Well, Alan, again, congratulations on the win. And before we let you go, the floor's now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, just again, shout out the 03, the 18, those guys, working with both of them there at the end of the race. I had a lot of fun with them, so congrats on their finishes. My teammate, Clayton, he should have been close to a podium as well and got taken out right there at the end. So I hate it for him, but he had a great race, come back as well. Simrat Market, Rhetoric Racing Development, EDE, everybody on the team. Yeah, I can't thank everybody enough for letting this happen for us. And you guys up here in the booth, sponsors, everything here at the league. Glad to be a part of it and getting started here, and looking forward to the rest of the season.
Well, it certainly is a great way to start the season off, Alan. Thanks for giving us such a great show to call. Enjoy this win, and good luck next week at Auto Club.
Thanks, guys.
As that will be our victor tonight of the Hot Lap Designs 250 of Alan Elwood. We go down to second place the driver that
Yeah,
was
but-
running them down, bearing it down. Clint, sorry for taking away from that conversation, but congratulations on a top 3 finish. Know you wanted victory at the end, but second's still pretty good after the way that this race had all of its ups and downs.
I'll tell you what, it's pretty wild. I lost my teammate there about halfway through in a wreck, and somehow we just found our way up there and found the 9. He helped us. Congrats to him on the win. We was working pretty good there. Then his teammate got up there at the end, and I felt like we had a pretty good handle on it. But it was definitely a wild race. Just have to give a shout out to them guys and to Chris Stamper for helping me there until he got took out about halfway through.
Definitely a great finish for you there, Clint. Almost getting back to the line ahead of that 9. Just need a Talladega finish line for that opportunity, possibly, maybe. But man, you take the lead there on the restart before from the bottom lane, getting around to the lead. You elect to take the bottom again there with the choose. Take us through the decision there in that final restart, because it definitely got wild once you guys kind of lost touch of those front 2 there with the contact from the couple cars.
Well, I felt like the bottom there, it was getting a good surge, especially with the 9 there behind me when we could push. But we had his teammate there at the end that was behind me, and then he took the top lane, so we kind of had it all controlled. And then I don't know, that 24, that Ollie, he couldn't drive his way up a paper sack, seems like, on these plate tracks. He might be good somewhere else, but he sure ain't good on these plate tracks. So I don't really know what he was doing, but somehow we saved it through all that crap there at the end and salvaged the second somehow. I'm not real sure how we did it, but we did it.
You certainly did, Clint. I know this is your second season you're going to be running with the Trinity guys. We're coming off of last season. You made the chase. You had a couple of good runs. You've had speed at a lot of the tracks. What's your confidence coming into this season, and what are some of your major goals you're looking for season 3 of Trinity?
We just want to make the playoffs, win a couple races. These guys in here are the best guys that I've ever raced with in a league. I don't get to race as much as I used to, so I've kind of lost my edge on a lot of these tracks. We're really bad at road courses, so we're eating hot dogs in the car at the road courses. So we just try to stop the bleeding there, but feel like we got enough speed to maybe win a couple races, get in the playoffs, and try to do the best we can. But these guys are really good in here at a lot of these tracks.
Well, Clint, we can't wait to see you try to attempt to go for those wins and go for the playoffs. And before we let you go here tonight, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Team 606 Racing, 606 Outlaws, Chris Stamper there for running with us, and just you guys for putting this on for us. You guys are a really good broadcast company, and Josh puts on a good league for us. So we really enjoy it, and we'll see y'all next week.
Hey, it's really nice when you guys give us quite a show to call, and this one was a crazy one. Clint, congratulations on second. Enjoy it, and good luck next week at Auto Club.
Thank y'all.
As we go from second place, we go to third to a driver that made it in, was the very last one to make it through the LCQ. Almost the chance to win, but he'll come away third at the end of the day after helping out Alan Elwood to take the win. We got the 18 of Nicholas Renner. Nick, this was a wild one for yourself. You had to start all the way back in 42nd position. You almost won at the end. How are you feeling after an incredible race here this evening?
I made a deal with Alan a while ago saying, I'm not going to win one of these things, but I'll push you. And I was like, well, I'm going to push him. I'm going to keep pushing. I'm like, surely Thomas is going to get on me. And then I'm like, well, they're 4 wide. Oh, they're 5 wide. Oh, I think I might be able to win this thing. And I'm like, no, I made a promise to him, so I held it.
Definitely good work there, Nicholas. Able to fight and able to hold on there for a third. When they're catching you guys that second pack, what's going through your mind right there? Of course, Fonseca getting the bump, I think, hooked him into you there as you go up to block, unfortunately. But, take us through that whole scenario, because those guys were quickly kind of catching up as you guys kind of got disconnected there down the back straightaway.
Nothing, coming to the last lap, I'm like, no, I think they're like a second and a half back, and I'm like, no, I think we have enough space to kind of run it out. I kind of forgot how much these cars, how much the speed difference is, and so going down halfway down the back, I'm like, they're getting kind of close. Going into 3, I'm like, they're getting really close. And then I'm like, I thought it was Clint Cox at the time behind me, and so I'm like, I'm gonna throw a block. I didn't realize it was Ollie, so kind of a shame there that I blocked them and cost at least one of us a win. But I had a blast. I mean, from last to first, and I had an EOL penalty that was carried over from last season too. So that definitely didn't help, but it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
Well, speaking about teammates, it was kind of the next question I was going to throw to you, Nick, is the fact of you've joined Blackjack Racing, kind of a historic team on Monday nights that we call here on Freaky Fast. You're joining up with Ethan Smith, Ollie, and Cody Reed. What's it like teaming up with those guys, and what are you expecting to learn from them throughout this season for Season 3 of the Trinity Racing League?
You know, I don't really know. Sam, you made a joke that there's not a lot of people that have finished a whole season, and I'm one of them. But I think I might. I told them I was going to finish the season, and do the whole season, so I might as well do that. I think I owe them that one after this.
Well, you certainly looked good after this race, Nick. Congratulations on getting a top 3 at the end of the day. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout out.
I want to thank Premier Setups. They throw out some really great setups there. Use code Brenner15 for checkout and 15% off. And I want to thank my girlfriend for letting me do this. It's a lot of fun to be able to sit here every Monday night and race with everybody. It's a great group of guys, and I try to do that one for KB.
And that will be the 18 machine of Nicholas Renner coming away third here tonight. Nick, congratulations on a top 3 finish here tonight, and good luck next week at Auto Club.
Have a good one, guys.
As that will finish up our interviews here this evening. It was a good one overall. Needed some overtime attempts there late, but overall it was a barn burner that you always expect. But Zach, I don't think that was the finish I had circled up of a 2-car breakaway that came down to the rest of the field trying to catch up to them at the end.
No, I did not have that one jotted down on my list of predictions. I feel like there's going to be 3x3 coming to the white flag, but that's what happens sometimes. These plate tracks are so unpredictable that you never know what's going to happen, and that is a scenario you're not put in a lot of times. So for them guys to hold on to it in that scenario, great job by those front 2.
As we're going to bring up our unofficial results of the evening, there is going to be a lot of changing of curiosity for these drivers, because when you saw and counted where drivers were crossing the line there coming to the checkered, they're not going to be sitting there, because there were about 5 to 6 disqualifications that pushed drivers all the way to the end of the lead lap. So some drivers that were hoping for top 10 finishes were not gifted that. Instead, it's going to be Alan Elwood, Clint Cox, and Nicholas Renner going to be your top 3, with Cody Reed taking 4th. Thomas Green will take 5th, with Chris Stitz in 6th. Austin Halsey, top 10 to start his season off with the 81 and 7th. Jesse Thornick as well, taking a top 10 and 8th. The 77 of going to be Joshua Stovall, the Brown crew, taking a 9th place finish in Presley Sora. Somehow, all the damage, all the woes, able to come away with the top 10. But Zach, certainly a lot of other drivers, good finishes based off just surviving. But man, everyone outside of the top 20 are going to be scratching their heads wondering the what ifs if we didn't have those DQs.
That was where I was going to go, is kind of, as we get farther through this list of drivers here, around the 26th position, you'll see Fonseca there. He was the first one, I think, to get a DQ there. Be him, Wolsifer, Cedric Hunter, Ryan Bird there, Nick Crawford. It's really from that 26th to 30th position, all DQ'd there right in that last second on that last lap. So tough for them to end out the night, but hey, man, it's Daytona. This is going to be a place where without field sizes, you're going to be able to, we heard Alan Elwood. He's just like so happy to come away with a podium to get a win. It's just ecstatic. So you never know what you can get when you come out of these places. So I think the guys near the end of that results there list will be looking forward to next week for sure.
Your top 3 all entered in starting positions 34th or worse. Alan Elwood, Nicholas Renner both came into this race through the last chance qualifier and then take a top 3 finish at the end of the day. Certainly impressive for themselves. I think for those drivers that were disqualified, they're going to have to relook their strategy call, taking intentional incident points. Was it worth it? Because now you're DQ'd at the end of the day. That's going to be a fun conversation for those drivers and the admins moving forward, because I know that's already a discussion in the Discord, is do we remove incident points or do they stay? That's going to be a fun conversation that they deal with. We'll see how the admins get to the conclusion next week, as we will be heading to Auto Club. And Auto Club, one of the tracks, extra horsepower is going to be given 110% horsepower. I'm excited for it, Zach. Next week's going to be a blast to watch with a little bit of extra muscle under these vehicles and the question of how much slipping and sliding will happen.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. That extra horsepower is going to make, I think, a ton of fun. So we'll see how that equates to the first week of that. And it'll be our first true test, you would say, of the season to see kind of the pecking order and what to expect throughout majority of it.
Certainly is going to be a fun one. We cannot wait for it. That's going to be next week. But for this week of racing action, we still have 2 more broadcasts ahead of us. Tomorrow night, it's the BRB Sundance Pro Series as they're going to go across the Pacific, heading to Japan to take the ARCA cars to Twin Ring Motegi. And there's been a lot of discussions, a lot of changing to the setup, and a lot of unknowns to us. I'm pretty sure they're even changing the setup after tonight's practice race. So it is going to be a unknown for all drivers heading into tomorrow night. It's going to be a fun one. Again, BRB Pro Sundance Pro Series. Then on Thursday, we got you covered with seeing Echo Park Speedway, the first quote-unquote Speedway racing we're going to see for the 802 Elite Next Gen Series. Don't want to miss out on that. Those guys have had lots of drivers. It is a free series. Pick a number, show up, qualify in. This past Thursday, we had 54 drivers try to qualify into the race, and only 40 get to race. You don't want to miss out on that last chance qualifier and knockout qualifying. But Zach, certainly a lot of fun racing this week that's still on the line before we even get to Auto Club next week.
That's for sure. We definitely got 2 more great races this week. So shout out to the other 2 leagues we got, of course, the BRB and the 802. You're definitely going to want to tune in for those. But I just want to give a huge shout out to Alan J. Elwood, man. Great job getting a victory here. He was super excited. Love to hear the emotion from him. And definitely a great start to the season to be back here at Trinity, man. The smiles on my face because season 3, this is going to be an epic one, I think, all the way down to the end there at Homestead.
It certainly should. I know for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we missed calling Trinity, and we are so happy to be back for tonight. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else that helps out at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you so much to also you, the audience, for everyone that was chatting, those that are watching. It is a privilege to give you the calls here on Monday night for the Trinity Racing League, presented by Larry Arts Production. We also want to give a thank you to the sponsors for Season 3 of the Trinity Racing League. First and foremost, the title sponsor of Larry Art Productions, the pole sitter and grid sponsor of Blazing Fast TV. We also want to say thank you to our halfway bonus point sponsor of SimSam. Also our caution sponsor of Premier Racing Setups. Our replay sponsors, and later on in the season, it will be an in-season tournament of Orchid Ink Tattoo Studios, and finally, our white flag sponsor of Team Watson Racing Setups. Thank you to everyone that's going to help out make Season 3 special. It's been a long time coming. We're so happy to be back on Monday nights with the Trinity Racing League. We saw how Season 2 had exciting moments that we missed out on, but Season 3, you won't miss out on those moments because we're going to be calling it here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. It's been a pleasure to give you the call of the Hot Lap Designs 250, Alan J. Elwood, the 9 Machine. From the LCQ to Victory Lane, the 9 Machine is starting on the right foot, but next week it starts with a little bit of extra horsepower at Auto Club. We can't wait for it. Monday night, your home for the Trinity Racing League, presented by Larry Arts Production, is here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. But if you can't wait until Monday, we got you covered. It's going to be the BRB Sundance Pro Series on Tuesday, then the 802 on Thursday. We'll see you tomorrow night. We head to Japan with the ARCA car for our next Freaky Fast broadcast.
I was standing, staying still, never said what I feel, and every time I took the blame, carried all this quiet shame, 'cause all the pressure in my chest, I've gotta fight to catch my breath, when every step still feels the same, trying not to break. Where do I go from here? Maybe I'll disappear. If I don't try, I'll never know. I'm waiting from here, there will be no more tears. Kill the doubt, feed the fire, hear the voice inside. Not giving up, it's my turn this time. They took a shot, now I want mine. You fall, I rise, I take the wheel. So this is how it feels. Where do I go from here?